podcast. Obviously, episode number
25.
Yeah. Anything, we don't even have any show notes or anything, but here we are.
Hello.
Yes, my name is Taliesin.
And I'm Evitel.
And welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
It's the
Hi,
podcast that we
everybody.
do. It is the
time.
podcast. It's a WoW podcast, obviously. And
Well done, Tally, on not pressing the button twice.
Thank you.
You did such a good job. I'm really proud of you.
I never tap the button twice. I tap the button once and then I'm done.
Exactly.
And then I see it through to the end.
Exactly.
And then I have a sleep. Yes, that's right. We've been away for a couple of weeks because we were in Gamescom for the launch of the expansion.
That was fun.
And we did our podcast live from there. Did you enjoy it?
I absolutely loved it. It was a really great time. I had a really good time. I enjoyed Gamescom. I enjoyed doing the podcast. I loved seeing people show up and say hello and sit with us and be patient through our technical issues. And
Can you imagine if they hadn't and we'd been doing it to an empty sort of arena,
Exactly.
or worse, an arena full of people that had no idea who we were,
Well, the thing
instead of
about
people who loved and
Gamescom-
supported us, which is what happened.
Yeah, exactly. The thing about Gamescom is that there's so much to do. It is huge. It is like BlizzCon times a bajillion, and everyone's there for completely different reasons. Like some people just want to see X game or Y game.
Wait.
or they
You
just wanna-
mean not everyone was there for WoW? Not everyone was there to look at the huge key art of Xalatath? Not everyone was there to queue for 4 hours to get on the most amazing VR experience I've literally ever done in my entire life, by the way.
It was genuinely
with the
really
Dalaran,
incredible.
the Escape from Dalaran thing. It was incredible.
Yeah. It was a load of fun, and yeah, so super grateful for the chance to go out there and to be there and to see some of you guys who even came and said hello. That was amazing.
And of course, last week we had the podcast where we talked about our initial impressions of The War Within and gave our kind of initial review of the questing and the world and the music and the characters and everything
yeah.
like that. Or at least we would have done if we didn't have like horrible cod and crud. And basically, we got to Thursday and we were a bit behind in work anyway. And we've been streaming hardcore because, Twitch drops, mate. Daddy's got to pay his rent.
Exactly.
Okay. And all the rest of it. And then Thursday came around and was like, hey, we can do the podcast today. And I was like, yeah. And then an hour went by and we were both still in bed. And it was like, no, we're not going to be doing it. And you might be able to hear it. And apologies if you can. But we are just a tiny little bit snotty and kind of under the weather.
It's
even
gross.
today, a whole other week later.
No, you've had it the whole time. And then I was fine for like a week. And then a couple days ago, I was like, hold on. It's coming for me.
I can hear
now.
it right now. I can hear it in your nose right now.
Yeah,
It's there.
it is here now. But I was fine. I was kind of fine last week. I was just a bit tired, like normally, just, life tired. And now I am like, my bones are aching. My nose is running tired. But anyway, no one cares about that.
No one cares about that.
No
Not
one cares
even
about
me,
that.
if I'm
No,
completely
no,
honest.
exactly.
So
Tally's
we have
like,
a
blah,
lot
blah,
to
blah,
talk
blah,
about
blah.
today. We've got so much to talk about. We've
do.
got all those initial impressions and review. And do you know what? I think we're in an even better place to review the World of Warcraft expansion, The War Within, this week than we would have been last week. Because this week, of course, we got the final quests of the campaign. We got basically everything. We got the Earthen Unlock. I've done that as well. We basically had everything that isn't season 1 content now.
Yeah, we got all the
this
good stuff.
entire opening patch.
Yes.
So this is it. This is the opening. We've had it now, and we can give a proper response and review of that. But I don't think I'm spoiling it too much to say, oh baby, WoW is so back.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
We are so bad. I'm always talking to you. I'm always talking to
I
you.
literally stopped and turned around and looked at you.
And
It's like, what do you have to say?
If you didn't think WoW was back enough with this whole opening patch of The War Within and the way that everyone's enjoying it and the story, and there will be spoilers later on for the final cinematics of the leveling campaign and stuff as well.
Exactly, yes. So full disclosure, there will be big spoilers probably throughout this discussion. So if you haven't played through what is out already in terms of story,
We'll give you very fair warning when it's coming up, of course.
Yeah, sure thing. But yeah, there will be spoilers discussed in the stream. Oh, and as ever, if you want to join the conversation, if you have any questions, anything you want to share, contribute, pick our brains with, that is what these super chats are for.
Oh yeah, if you want to drop us a
a
super chat with a question or something you'd like us to respond to, we usually spend about 20 minutes going over those at the end of the episode. Thank you, Rico, for getting that ball rolling.
Yeah.
Our official
Thanks,
best buddy, remind us to do super chats shout out person in the audience. wicked. But look, there's not even just all that to talk about, Evitel, because also yesterday we got news about the 20th anniversary event, which we're going to have to talk about first.
We're going to have
essentially
to.
like, I mean, we're kind of doing Evie's news rundown right at the very beginning here, right?
We are. And I was thinking about this. I can no longer do a beta rundown.
No, but
I can do some kind of rundown.
Evie's news rundown, hey down. It'll be amazing. It'll be brilliant. It'll be so good. So you know how when Legion launched and everyone was having a really good time, and then they announced 7.1 even before like the expansion had launched, and so there was like this deluge of content. I am kind of feeling like that with War Within a little bit at the moment, and the 20th anniversary announcement with Holly Longdale not looking tired on the WoWcast. Did you watch it?
I have not watched it. I just watched the key point. I just got the summary from
Holly Longdale was not looking tired on the WoW cast, but because she never looks tired, because she never looks anything less than like the most beautiful woman on earth, second most beautiful woman on earth. But she did sound tired. She sounded really tired. Like they kept going back to her to kind of like say stuff, and she's like, "Oh yeah, man, died in that dungeon back in the day." She was incredibly knackered, probably for doing single-handedly all of the work to make the expansion good and the 20th anniversary stuff, right? That's what I'd imagine. So the 20th anniversary event, when it goes live, what's it going to have in it, Evie?
Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff. Probably the most visible one are the reworks of the tier 2 armor sets. That is what they teased this new drop with.
With the shoulder of the judgment set.
Exactly, and everyone saw that, and people were like, I know what that is.
Oh, it was so good. Well, do you know what? Because I'm a stupid lore dude, I did think they were reworking it for the 20th anniversary event. I suspected it might have just been the judgment set, but there was a part of me that was like, they're teasing Arator coming back to the story in War Within. That's what I was like. I was like, I don't care about the 20th anniversary event. Give me that beautiful half-elf boy. Give me Tyrallion and Illyria's son. Make that happen. Get him back in the game. I don't want to wait till midnight. I want to see that dude now. I want to see what kind of ears he's got. I want to see what model.
I think.
Dude, I'm so excited about seeing Arator's new model. You have no idea. I'm like into it. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. That was very rude.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I welcome it. So we have new updated tier 2 sets which have been reworked, but which I think personally do a lot of justice to their original. Justice.
There's a lot of justice.
There's a lot of justice in these. Not just the paladin, but the other ones, and then there are also armor sets for the classes that were not around in vanilla, so those have been added as well, and I think they look pretty cool.
Well, how do you feel about the hunter set for tier 2?
I love
because
it.
you always moan about. Wow,
I think it's
really?
crazy.
Hang on, I'm just not used to this. I'm going to stop talking completely, but maybe, and you can just say that again with slightly.
No, I love this hunter set. Like, I've always loved the original. It looks absolutely wild. But I like this one because I feel like I've seen a trend, particularly among like warlocks, to be wielding like the most kind of like acid green, pink, like color combos. I've seen this. I feel like I've seen this a lot recently. Like there are a lot of like little neons to counteract the beautiful kind of subtle like Hallowfall armor sets and stuff. So seeing this again, like acid purple and gold insane dragon set like for Hunter, I love it. And it looks like just a nicer version of the original one. And you know why I love it? I know it's going to look cool on my night elf.
Yeah,
Hunter.
I mean, I was like, I forgot what the Hunter one looked like, and you said you loved it.
Yeah.
And I looked back at it, and I was like, wow, I feel like if that came out today, she wouldn't like it. And then I saw like the cool purple scaly legs, the kind of like, I was like, that is going to look good on a night elf, and therefore Evitel is going to like it.
Exactly. I'm a simple woman. Like, is it going to look cool on my night elf?
And there's something so simple about these sets, which is like, I mean, obviously they're classics, everyone knows it, but then seeing like I was a bit worried that the priest one was going to be a bit rubbish, and it kind of depends how you interpret some of the basically just squiggles on
They're
like
squiggles.
1D like textures, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what do we think this squiggle was supposed to be exactly? Like, because, you know, we have to know and we have to be able to show it. Is this going to be a 3D asset? Is it going to be a thing hanging down? Is it just meant to be a pattern, or is it meant to be an actual thing, you know? And I think for the most part, they've come out really, really well. The Priest one looks legit, like really, really nice. I even like the new ones, to be honest.
Yeah, Demon Hunter is kind of insane.
Oh, well, I mean, so look, okay. So Demon Hunter, man, every time there's a new, this happens every time, because every time there's new tier sets and stuff, we do our new tier set videos and we go through the armor. And I'm like, look, if you could swap out the Demon Hunter one for like last season's Demon Hunter one, or like you could swap out any Demon Hunter transmog from a tier set with any other Demon Hunter transmog from any other expansion, and I swear to God, I would not know. I'd sit there going, oh, I love this new transmog. Oh, it's so it's so good for the class, you know? Oh, it's so great. I love the blindfold. Brilliant.
I
never know the difference.
Tattered clothing and a blindfold.
You know, you could tell me that this is their version of the tier 2 for Demon Hunters. You could tell me it was from Legion. You could tell me it was from BFA. I wouldn't know. I'd be like just slapping like a little seal going, oh, yeah, brilliant. I love it. Oh. Give me my money, please, Ian. Yeah, so like it's fine. I mean, it's great, I guess. It's fine. Whatever. I do really, really like the can we pour one out, please, for Evoker tier set designers, please? Because it doesn't matter. It must be the worst job in the world. It's like, welcome, artist, to the team. I love your ideas. I love your work. I think you do some incredible things. We like you so much. We're going to put you onto the Evoker tier set design. And it's like, why do you hate me?
To be fair,
why are you doing this?
They have a unique challenge. You know, obviously they have to create something, that works as a full set, but also with the shoulders and then the belt you can see as well. And so, I guess they want to strike this balance between making sure that it's not too over the top, because your Drakthir, when you're in your Drakthir form, probably looks pretty elaborate. Yeah, so it's fine.
This is what happens.
It's fine.
Every time the Evoker tier set designer comes back for their meeting with Chris Metzen or whatever, right? Chris Metzen's like, "Hey, I really love your work, dude. How's it been going with the wait for it, Evoker design?" And guys like, look, I worked really hard. I've drawn up this tier 2 thing, and I was like, you know, obviously we didn't have Evokers back in tier 2, but we did have dragons, so I've based it on Neltharion, right? It's not, I've worked really like hours of my life, like you know, really weeks of my life. Here it is, I put it on this bit of paper for you. And Chris Metzen's like, oh my God, this is incredible. I love this design. This design is the best design I've ever seen. Your work is amazing. Everyone's gonna love it. Shame they'll never fucking see it.
You know what?
And dude's like, I fucking know, man. It's like, and everyone's like, everyone, when they're walking down the corridor, they're like, yo, John, excellent work on the Evoker set. Everyone's gonna love it if they could fucking see it.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Evoker dude. I am sorry. Like, it looks great on the picture.
I think it does look
game.
Nice. However,
no, we'll move on to that later.
We will move on to
One thing at a time. Laser focus.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, there has been controversy with the monk set, though, right? Okay, because
why?
The monk set in the trailer.
Yeah.
Was this beautiful like emerald green, all of it with like green kind of smoke. And in the pictures that were then supplied afterwards, it's kind of red and black and gold, right?
Gotcha.
And it seems we've had confirmation at this point now that it's going to be the green version, which I think people are happy about.
Yeah, who knows?
People are cool with that.
Surely we'll be seeing some recolors, right? In that case, this is just an unofficial way of saying there will be recolors. I want to believe it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I think they look pretty cool. I like the druid set.
I think the druid set is one of the ones that sticks out at me, honestly, as being like just legit brilliant.
It's insane.
People are memeing on that shit, but I think it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's goofy, but it's great. And that's the thing. These are really old school sets. Like, they're always going to look a little bit janky, even when they're upgraded. And I think that's the charm in them, right? Like, we love the Judgment set. We love the Paladin set because it's so old school, and just, even though it's been like up-resed still has this hint of like blockiness and jankiness.
Yeah, which I
mean,
kind of
those
adore.
shoes,
I
the
love it.
shoes are insane.
Yeah.
Why are they? They're just like big brown shoes. Like they're just big clunky ass shoes. It's like,
you know what? The shoes
know
are the
what?
bit that I haven't got from the Judgment set.
You don't need them.
I've got the Judgment set, and I farmed that stuff like every week,
I
every
remember you
reset
getting it.
for months. And you know, the shoes were the only bit I hadn't got, and I got like the shoulders,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, oh, now the shoes, the only bit I haven't got. I was like, I don't really need them.
It's fine. You don't need the shoes.
I might just skip out on the shoes.
Don't
And
need
you know
the
what?
shoes.
I'm really glad that I did. I'm really glad that I never bothered farming that raid one more time in my entire fucking life, because I'm really, really glad
Good.
now I'm going to get this shiny ass Judgment set to use instead. So
true.
there we go.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
And then I
so-
thought, yeah, I play troll anyway. I'm not going to see this.
Exactly. So that was kind of like the headline. That was the teaser for the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, and these are like
event.
these are the marquee rewards really,
Mm-hmm.
which is you know, most of what we're going to see on the trading post when it goes live as well. Mm-hmm. And these are going to be the Traveler's Log rewards, which I think is pretty cool. Let me see. Let me switch my screen here. There we go. You can get back pieces representing the logos for each faction in Warcraft 3, because it's not just World of Warcraft's 20th anniversary, Evitel. It's
Unreal.
also Warcraft's 30th anniversary.
Yes, of
'cause
course.
it's always like, it's like me and my mum. My mum is exactly 30 years older than me, and Warcraft is exactly 10 years older than WoW, which
that's
is
nice.
absolutely incredible. And you know, you got like the Lordron shield with the swords behind it. You got the Horde one with the axes. And what do you think of the Night Elf stuff? I always ask you about the Night Elf stuff.
Fine. I mean, it's cool. It's like,
Oh, it's Warcraft 3, isn't it?
yes, well, exactly. And I like it. I like that it exists. I'm glad that people can get it. I think it's going to be super cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, people are asking me to adjust the volume upwards. No, we're just gonna have to live with it. We almost murdered everyone when we did that before.
We wouldn't dare touch that again.
I feel like the volume's okay this time, actually. Like,
Yeah.
but you know, a live stream, not much more. I guess I can touch that a tiny bit.
Yeah. Okay.
just-
Brace yourself.
Yeah, no.
Protect your ears.
Just gonna do what I'm doing. So yeah, and so the events that will be happening for all this to happen, there's gonna be time walking Black Fathom Deeps.
Yes, of course.
Which
Hey, why not? Why not?
Yeah, sure, fine, whatever. People love time walking raids. I think that's great.
They do.
We don't tend to really go for them in our guild so much, really. Or if we do, maybe I don't go along to those ones. I don't know, but it is what it is, right?
No, it's Black Rock Depths.
Oh, what did I say?
I don't know. I think you said something else.
Did I say Black Fathom Deeps?
Yeah, you did.
I'm an idiot.
You said the other black.
I'm stupid. Like, no, get me off this show. You need
I
to
know,
just go solo.
I
I'm
know, I know.
done.
He's so
Clearly, my
tired.
brain is rotted. Like, absolutely. So yeah, no, sorry. Black Rock Depths. Thank you for the people in the chat. Don't worry. When it comes to loading this up to people's preferred podcast listening platforms, which I always do, that I'll edit that bit out. I'll remember to do that, and everyone will think I'm still really cool. So give me a shout out on what some of the events that are happening are.
Well, so I mean, just some headlines, really. It's happening in November and December. I think it's good to know. You basically, in order to get like new bits, there are loads of new things. There are like mounts, toys, pets. You collect bronze celebration tokens. Ooh. So you have another currency to kind of collect.
Yes, currency.
Yeah, love currency. Yeah, so you've got time walking dungeons. You also got some new mounts. Oh yeah, so they have these like also service award cosmetics, which I was like,
oh, this is actually pretty neat.
This is quite cool.
Like this, yeah.
This is kind of cool. So I did not understand what was going on here, but they're actually little replicas of the things that Blizz employees get. So like after 5 years they get a sword, after 10 years they get a shield, and for 20 years with a company they get a helm. And they're all pretty cool. So you can actually get a little...
It's one of those ones where when they showed them on screen at first, I was like, those are kind of lame.
Yeah.
Those are kind of dumb. Don't like those transmogs.
Yeah.
But once it's explained to me the meaning behind it, I actually really like it now. I'm like, yeah, cool. For a 30-year anniversary present, can they have like a good evoker transmog?
Oh.
That would be amazing. That would be really good. It's like, here, what, you've been with the company for 30 years. Here's your full evoker set. Thank you. Cheers. I look forward to the next anniversary. Wow.
They're also bringing back some old school like mounts and pets from their previous anniversaries. So you get the baby Blizzard Bear, which was their 4th anniversary pet. The Onyxian Whelpling, which was for the 5th anniversary. Molten Corgi from the 10th anniversary. I've got that one. That's when I think that's when I've started picking up those little anniversary things. So there's the Core Hound mount and Lil Nefarian.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
which we've got as well. So
loads of banging stuff.
It's cool, and these were like previously obviously super exclusive. You could only get them for kind of logging on during the anniversary events. But now, if you don't have them, if they're missing from your collection, you can also add them to your collection.
And there's
really
like
cool.
some weird thing where there's like stage, and they're going to be having kind of like transmog competitions, and it's going to be like a kind of a fairground, right, where you can go and become your pet for a little bit. There's like an ice rink and stuff. There's like you can little toys where you can become characters from WoW and go around just shouting at people is how it's described on the WoWcast thing, which I'm up for. I'm always shouting at people. That's kind of my job, honestly. So like it sounds like a lot of fun. You've got some Time Walking Classic dungeons as well, which I'm really looking forward to. I think that will genuinely be really fun, particularly for like leveling alts and stuff.
Yeah.
There is one thing that I am a bit concerned about with this.
Hold on, I thought this was all like happiness and joy.
Yeah, well, you know what? No. Actually, it turns out, it turns out that WoW is shit and bad, and it's not just because it's all woke heavy. I actually have like other concerns as well.
Oh, do tell.
It's a thing that people are saying is a really good thing about this. But it's making me a bit concerned. And I hope you can understand my concern without taking it as me being like a party pooper, and without me taking it as being like, a stick in the mud and like ungrateful and stuff like that.
All right, go on.
This 20th anniversary celebration basically is patch 11.1.5.
11.0.5.
Oh, 11.0.5. Okay, which means
it is a patch.
Yeah, it's basically an entire patch, and that's a good thing because usually you get a couple of weeks to kind of enjoy these things and get all of these rewards and stuff like that. And it's a bit of a rush. There's a bit of FOMO and stuff, and I think that's okay for anniversary celebrations. It's a birthday party, right? You miss your birthday party, yeah, it's fine. But obviously the rewards here are so good, and the tier 2 thing is something that everyone's going to want to get. Like, it's absolutely wild how many people I'm seeing online saying, I'm literally resubbing to WoW for this. This is like incredible. And I think, the quality of the game at the moment as well is something which has kind of, lots of people are on the fence about coming back anyway, because they were like, game's good now? Brilliant. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. But then they show this, the tier 2 sets and like this big event and stuff, and everyone's like, whoa, yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to come back. I think that's wonderful. I think that's brilliant. My concern is War Within has had such a strong opening. I would go as far to say that War Within, at the moment, I would rate as the best opening patch in WoW history.
Oh, wow.
Like, I don't know what the raid's going to be like. Okay. I don't know what season 1 is going to be like. But in terms of like the leveling story and the excitement that was generated through the leveling story, how much I enjoyed following that story, exploring the zones, like the whole leveling process and then initial end game process, I genuinely think this, like, it's head and shoulders above Dragonflight at this stage. And I loved Dragonflight. At this stage of Dragonflight, I was rating Dragonflight one of the top 3 expansions. End of, right? This is way better because it takes all of the amazing philosophy changes and gameplay changes, and very important that had to happen.
Yeah,
they're
already there.
Yeah,
they're the base.
And then just put like a really exciting story on top with all these great characters and really interesting zones. It feels exciting. It feels vital. Like playing this expansion has given me the same vibes, not just from the game but from the community and like the whole experience as Legion did, right? And like that's a special time to be playing WoW. It's kind of incredible. It feels wild, and I'm really scared that we're going to lose momentum. When the 0.5 patch comes out, what should be happening in my mind is we're moving on with the story. We've just had this big climax of the story that we're going to talk about in just a moment. But you can't sit on that stuff. You can't leave that be. What we need is to carry on, dive into the next thing, be setting the scene for the next bit, and to carry on that great momentum with the War Within, right? And my worry is that having an entire patch that isn't any of that and is instead the 20th anniversary celebration, which is like completely removed from the War Within. And I know you can get like the currency and the rewards by playing War Within Season 1 content. They were clear about that in the WoWcast, and I think that's brilliant, fantastic idea. But I think at a time when we should be capitalizing on how good the War Within is and the story progressing, and something that Dragonflight did really well with its 0.5 and 0.7 patches, which was, gearing up for the next patch and leading into the next patches so well. I'm worried. I'm worried about us losing momentum in the main game.
Okay.
And while we were having a little holiday.
Do we have any indication that this is the only content coming out with that patch?
No, but they said pretty much. Now, in the roadmap, they said there would be story quests and story content, right?
Good. I need story content.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what I need.
And if that means War Within story content, then depending on how much there is, and whether it's good or not, obviously, then obviously that will assuage my fears, and that's all we kind of need really, is some good continuing the narrative, making sure that players are still caught up in it and still involved in it and still getting little payoffs here and there, wondering what's coming next and stuff like that. I think that's so important right now. So I'm not trying to shit on it or anything. I'm not saying this will happen. It's just like a worry that I have that we might lose a little bit of momentum.
I totally get that concern. On the other hand, like, we already have this established kind of patch schedule and release, and like I feel quite grateful that we have the momentum in the first place. You know what I mean? And Dragonflight, I feel like, proved for the most part that they kind of stick to their promises, and they have been delivering like a pretty good like cadence. So I do understand your concerns, but I'm still kind of like in the honeymoon phase, and I'm like, this is just good. This is gonna keep being good, right?
Yeah, for sure, right? Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
I think everyone is incredibly hyped about the anniversary event. I think everyone was like pleasantly surprised by how good it is. And I've got to say, when I was watching the WoWcast where they were explaining it, I got a little bit emotional. When I was kind of just emotional for the fact that this game is 20 years old.
It is crazy.
I was
crazy.
21 20 years ago. Like, I barely even remember my 21st birthday. Well, I mean, who does? But like, it was
16. I was a child. I was an actual child 20 years ago.
Absolute nuts, man. And so like, it is emotional, and obviously the game has become a huge part in our lives personally. But also, I mean, we've got guildies who are doing a motorbike trip around Europe together right now, who are calling in on our house next week and or a couple of weeks or whatever, and gonna like pop in and say hi and stuff as they go through South Wales. And we went to a guildie's wedding a couple of weeks ago in Denmark, and it's just been such a huge impact on our lives. Obviously, it's how we make our living. There's this amazing room we've got now, paid for our kids because they were expensive, man.
Children are so expensive.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a wild ride. And it's incredibly emotional for me to see this happening now when the game is in such a good place as well. That is really helpful, honestly. So yeah, exactly. And I had similar worries about Mr. Pandaria Remix when I was like, oh, it's so good and there's so much of it is going to make War Within seem underwhelming, and that obviously didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm wrong, but that's just my initial. I have to admit, when I was watching the cast and I was like, yay, and everything they were saying, I was like, yay, yay, yay. And then he said, this is basically patch 11.0.5. I was like, oh.
Do you think they might use some of the old content like Blackrock Depths? Will that kind of tie back to the story? Because that Moira is in there, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah. Possibly.
My understanding is that this is like
it's like a reworked. It's not a classic recreation. It's more of a season of discovery kind of like we're doing new stuff here.
You go back, they even say in the description, it's kind of with the power of the bronze dragonflight, Moira is revisiting her history. So this is, you do get a bit of story through that as well.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So
but it's like pasted on story, right?
I know, but I would argue it's a clever way of reusing old assets. Like it's a good way of using what they've already got. That I never played Blackrock Depths.
I wasn't listening. I was watching chat. Were you talking about Hunter Transmog again? Because all I heard was ass sets.
Excuse me.
Well, I just heard you talking about ass sets, as in sets which are complete ass, and I just assumed you were talking about Hunter Tier again.
Assets.
Oh, right, okay.
No. Speaking of assets, look at this key art which we've had on the screen.
I've had it on screen for a while.
Yeah, which they've featured, at the Gamescom panel and some other places. It suddenly occurred to me because there are loads of boobs in this picture. They're great,
Sorry.
Sorry.
How many boobs are in this picture?
Well,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 boobs that I can see. Thrall's wearing his armored vest, so otherwise there'd be more.
It just made me laugh because everyone's got these they've got their character boobs and they're great, except for Xalatath, who wears them on her shoulders. I realize that's what her orbs are for.
Shouldn't you be dressed as Xalatath right now?
I know.
You lose a bet? Shouldn't you be dressed as Xalatath right now? Wasn't that the bet? Hang on. When I won that bet, I was kind to you. I could have said someone who wore a lot less clothes, but I said Xalatath. And, think of all the subs we could have got. Think of all the super chats we could have got if I'd said something else.
Excuse me, Tally, it's already in the bag. We had a nice chat with Satiela bumped into her at Gamescom, which was really cool. And she does amazing cosplays. And she was like, let's do something together. And I was like, yeah. Anyway, but I digress.
For a shame.
I cannot remember how we got there.
You were talking about boobs, so and the key art,
assets.
right?
Yes, talking about reusing assets.
Yeah. The key art, by the way, is stunning. You can get it in a landscape, like we're showing it on screen right now, but you can get it in a portrait version as well, which is really good for phones, right?
Nice.
So get that one in there for your phone screen. I might actually even do that. That's kind of hip. Which one should we print out for a poster?
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah, I feel like this one would make a good poster.
The vertical one is really good for poster.
Yeah, I think so too.
Is it time to replace Jaina yet?
Maybe. We've got to be careful with our pictures that we have in the background, though, because the cameras, if they have faces on them, the camera will focus on them instead of us. Yeah.
The camera's
they have sharper features. They look more human than we do.
They're so good.
Got to be very, very careful. And yeah, just thank you to whoever made this key art for not putting the jailer in as well. Much appreciated. Very cool. I do like how everyone is very serious and somber, demure even, you could say, in this picture. Apart from Savannah, she's just like on one. She stubbed her toe. She's like, what? She stepped on Lego. She's I'm in the mall.
I love this picture so much because it really, like, everyone has such character and personality and really, even Illyria with her little emo cut, like, it's still, she's given it some. I really appreciate it. So that is in essence the 20th anniversary
I'm extremely excited about it. It's going to be very, very cool. My niggling worries about losing momentum notwithstanding, I think, like, obviously it's a massive dub, right? It's such a big dub. And like so much of War Within, as I siege seamlessly into the next part of this show, like so much of War Within, it's satisfying because it's really good, but it's also, unlike Dragonflight, very heartening to see people who aren't playing the game right now being very interested in it and very intrigued by it, because I think Dragonflight absolutely will go down as the expansion that righted the ship. You know, they just like took a step back, took a little breather. To use kind of like a footballing analogy, like soccer, you know, your team's been under pressure for a little bit. You know, you haven't got any possession of the ball for a while. And then as a midfielder, the ball comes to you and you just put your foot on it. You just stand still for a second. You just take stock of your options because you're like, I just need to take like the wind out of the sails of the other team for a second here. I just need to slow this game down a bit. We just need to keep possession for a little bit. We just, you know, we don't need to do anything exciting right now. We just need to like keep the ball for a little bit and stuff like that. And that's how I feel like Dragonflight was.
I'm sorry, my brain turned off the instant you started using a sports metaphor.
Well, I know, that's why I had to get my willy out, like to keep you on side, right? Yeah. And like. I feel that's what Dragonflight did, you know? It made the gameplay good again. It changed the philosophy of the game in a huge way to a really good thing. But it maybe wasn't a very exciting expansion. Would you agree with that?
Dragonflight as a whole. Yeah. Looking back on it, you know, because now we can do a bit of like a post-mortem retrospective on Dragonflight. Yeah, you know what? I really enjoyed it. There are things about it that felt really seamless, that felt really easy. And the story was fun. I had a good time. But yeah, I didn't have moments in it, or, you know, I can pinpoint moments playing through the expansion now in the War Within, even just like environment, music, quests, where I'm like, I'm going to remember this one for a long time. You know, like I know how this feels. This is how it's going to feel to look back on this and remember it, because this is going to stick with me for a long time. That I think that goes for the overall story so far as well. Yeah. Whereas Dragonflight, I remember what happened, but not in that kind of like, it hasn't cemented a place in like my nostalgia yet. You know, it was
the holiday expansion that everyone wanted.
It was the holiday expansion.
It like, you know, everyone playing it was like, oh shit, this is really good. Guys, wow, this is fun. This is a really good WoW expansion. And people who weren't playing the game, who were many after Shadowlands, has to be said, but who still maintained like a vague interest in the game, were mostly like, if you say so, guys, awesome. I'm really happy. But they took a look at it and they saw like the promotion for it and they saw the vibe of it. And they were like, yeah, you know what? I'm fine still not playing WoW. And obviously going into War Within, one of the big things they wanted to do was to bring those players back. Like, keep the game good, but then also make it an exciting expansion, part of the world. I think that's the reason I think World Soul Saga is like such genius, because it really does kind of like position the game as being in like a special time, right? Absolutely. And a special place. And I think it does capture people's imagination. And then all they had to do was nail it with the War Within, and people would take a look at it and be like, oh, right, okay. And I don't know, Evie, it's time for us to start talking about the War Within. Where are you at with the War Within right now?
I have just wrapped up the campaign, like the storyline.
So you've done the story, and you've actually done it more so than me, because you've actually I think you've got Lore Master in most of zones as well, right?
So I've got Lore Master in the Isle of Dorne and the Ringing Deeps, and I'm getting there in Hallowfall, and obviously Ashkahet is still loads to go. Now, I was not expecting to play the game in this way. I was expecting to like bop it, get to 80, go through the campaign, and then just, you know, savor my winnings. But no, and maybe do it all over again. But no, I so enjoyed the questing and the storytelling and the vibe and the music and like the systems, which are already baked in, right? Like they're already there. You don't have to learn how to dragon ride or sky ride or whatever. Like it's all already there. It just felt so good that I was like, you know what? I'm going to pace myself and I'm going to just enjoy this. So I got to 80 like just as I entered Hallowfall, I think I may still have been in
wow,
what?
I
think I may still have been in the Ringing Deeps, like at the very end. So I did that, and then of course I was like, oh, hold on, there's loads of campaign story I want to do, and so I did that, and I just wrapped that up today so that we can discuss it and talk.
Yeah, you were working on the weekly reset. You were making notes about the weekly reset, and I came downstairs at like 11 o'clock, 11:30 or whatever. I was like, you need to come and finish the campaign so that we can talk about it on this very show. So this is like, you know, and the thing is, right, I you know, to kind of like give my basic appraisal straight away, because I made no secret of it. I fucking loved it. I had an amazing time playing this expansion so far. I just feel like the world is incredible. The characters, I really like what they're doing with, I call them the World Soul Scions, you know, the kind of main characters like Thor and Jaina and Magni has been one for the time being, and who they're kind of bringing together as your little adventuring party, and like, these are your buds, right? These are the guys you're hanging out with, and yeah, they're the World Soul Scions, and I think that's really cool. I love the new characters that are introduced in it. The story just swept me along, like from the very beginning, and I found it incredibly exciting. The cutscenes great. The cinematics have got me feeling like Legion again, and this is kind of a reference point I keep on using, right? And
can I just say, whoever animated Xal'atath's face, like there's so many shots of just her face or just her lips
what a
talking.
Job.
I know
That's the best job in WoW.
I like every time they absolutely hit the nail on the head. Like when she's just kind of perceiving you, like her look of like haughtiness is so, if I may, is so good. Like she's not, like she's, you know, visually really beautiful, but also, you know, she's a bit of a mommy, but not too much. And she's just kind of looking down on you. And she's so like, but it's so well done. I just love it. Like when there are bits where she's just talking, there's a focus on her lips. Like sorry to jump off of that, but those
and just the way that cinematics and cutscenes arrive and punctuate parts of the story, and you know, the way they're rolled out over the course of the story. I think, you know, the themes of the story are, you know, pretty simple but really well kind of communicated and stuff. And the zones, even though they're all like incredibly high concept, I would say, and very different from each other, they don't really feel theme parky yet, in the way that kind of Shadowlands zones, which were possibly the most similar we've had, kind of felt. And just basically, I feel like I'm just on a rollicking good adventure. And the side quests, there are some very famous ones already that people absolutely love and seem really well written. And I'm at the stage now where I'm playing Endgame, where I'm just overwhelmed, but in a really good way. And you know, I've got all these quests popping up all the time. I don't even know what to do, and I'm like, okay, well, what do I need to do for my chests and stuff like that? And I'm not reading any guides because I don't care. I've played this game for a long time. I know what to do. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll do a delve, or like I guess I'll go over here and do these world quests. And like, if I do 4 world quests, I unlock this big world quest and I get a chest. And shit.
Cool!
And
I love that. I love that. That's a new thing. Yeah.
And just like these little iterations and doing the events and stuff, and all really, really cool. The only bit that's made me kind of go, oh, so far was this week when I was like, oh, you want me to do Awakening the Machine again?
I haven't even done that yet.
I did it last week.
Yeah, I haven't done it at all.
You want me to do 20 waves of Awakening the Machine?
I haven't touched it at all.
Again?
Now tell me.
Didn't I awaken it already? Wait, hang on. Whoa. Am I going to have to do this? You want me to do Awakening the Machine every week? We're gonna have some words about this. We're gonna have to talk about this because I ain't doing that shit every week, right? I will do the theater event 20 times a week. I don't care. I love that stuff. It's amazing. The music in the theater event, oh my gosh, it is so good. And just the whole vibe of that, love it. Brilliant. Lag. And do you know what my favorite thing about the theater event is?
Yeah.
I know while I'm doing it and having fun, no one else in the zone is having fun because that lag is horrible. When you're in the theater event, like no one else can even do anything in the zone. Everyone else gets completely dicked. If you're not in the theater event, you are like, your life is miserable and bad because you're like, I just want to pick this flower. I've been picking this flower for like 20 minutes. It's not happening yet. It's so good. So I love that stuff. And you know, I love all the events. Like the Hallowfall stuff, like the lamp lighting event is wild. Have you done any of that? You go into like the cavern where all the lamp lighting stuff is, and you're lighting lamps.
Oh, I just started. I literally just started before we did this podcast.
Every time you light a little lamp, a dude comes out and gives you another quest, and you're like, wow. And so you just got a million quests popping all over the place. You're just doing them, and it's like, oh, it's so good. And then you got Wakening the Machine.
I haven't done this one.
It's like, oh, there's some robots. Shoot them.
Oh,
let's wait a bit because there'll be some more in a minute.
Gotcha.
Let's do that.
Now, Tally, I have an important question for you, actually, in terms of playing through so far.
It's like that. There it is.
As a person who you bopped through it, right? Like, you know, you did the main story quest. You know, you did that. How did you find the pacing of the story without going through most of the side quests?
I was worried after the first zone because I decided I was just going to stick to the shield quests, and I was just going to like go through, partly because we were a bit late starting, right? Because we've been away.
Exactly.
We didn't really actually get to play much WoW while we were at Gamescom.
No.
We were like too busy doing other things. It wasn't a great environment
we were still
for like
on the ruins of Dalaran. Like we didn't get anywhere.
So, you know, we really bopped it, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And I knew I just wanted to get through it, and I made the mistake in Dragonflight of not doing that. Okay. So you know, I got caught up in Nokud and stuff, doing all the side quests, and then I was so far behind I had to abandon everything and just bop through it. And I was like, I'm going to do it, and I wanted to see what it was paced like as well. And I was really worried after Dornagal because that shit like flew by. And I think it is the least well paced of the zone storylines as well, because it really is a case of like, well, there were 4 of us, but you know, the Oath Swarm were like, nah. I'm sorry, the Unbound, they were like, nah, we don't like the Titans. We don't like having, you know, edicts, so they've gone, and we don't really see them anymore. And the Coreway's busted. And hey, you should go and can you go and see the Unbound people? And you go and see the Unbound people. It's like, yeah, no one's seen us for ages. They never bother popping by. That guy, he's rude, and the rude guy's like, hey, I'm rude because I care. And she's like, well, prove you care.
Okay,
and he's
great.
like,
this is great, Tally.
And he's like, well, I'll show you I care. I'll help these sick people. And she's like, maybe you do care after all. Hey, you know what? I think we're gonna come back and be friends again. And it just felt like it like really zoomed through that. Now,
stuff, right? if I can make a suggestion, here's my.
You know, I'm not a dev. I can't enact.
Well,
this, right?
if any devs happen to listen, I know we're all grown ups, and we can all choose the way we play the game, and we run through it. You know, if you want to bop through it like Tally did, or if you want to do literally every single zone quest, you can do that too. But I wonder if there's some kind of like because we've had these amazing changes to just the UI and the quest markers, and now you know what you have to do, right? Like it's much clearer. I wonder if there might be like kind of a suggestion mode in the future where you're like, you know, how do you want to play this expansion? Where it's like, zoom me through the main story. Alternatively, it's almost like a sliding scale, like zoom me through the story, or I want to do absolutely everything. Or if you can have an option where it's like, give me a little bit of flavor and tell me which quests to do, side quests that will kind of improve my experience or understanding of the zone, but I don't want to take up too much time. I wonder if there's like, if there could be...
So I mean, because I'd say we've got the 2 extremes of that.
We do have the 2 extremes.
We've got the shield quest where you can just like zoom me through.
Exactly.
And like, you know, that's what you got to do.
Exactly.
And then if you want to do everything, I mean, you just do. You don't need like help doing that, because just do everything, right?
Yes.
So what you're asking for is like some in-between mode where they highlight certain like side quests.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't have done that. I'd have still just done the main story in this situation, and I would still think the pacing was a bit quick on that. And the thing is, I think it's a valid complaint because I do not have the same complaint for any of the other zones. So at the end of Dawnagor, I was a bit worried because I was like, yeah, that story, it kind of just happened, and I didn't think the pacing was great in it. I loved the zones, I loved the music, and because I didn't love Dawnagor the zone in alpha much either, really. But with the music and everything, it's got some of the best music in the game. It's like really beautiful. Oh my god, I love Dawnagor so much.
It's really special.
What an incredible city. Do you know when I love Dawnagor the most is when I'm going to do my inscription training and my inscription orders, right? Because, like Dragonflight in Valdrakken had that really nice, I always called it like crafter's terrace, right? Where they all kind of ran that little cheese stall and stuff like that.
Yeah, I started to hate that area though.
I
started to hate going there. I hated going there, and I was like,
the roof on that
I don't want to do
when
these
I was
crafting
flying
quests.
down, I had to fly under that glass roof to get that. I was like, oh my god.
That's a
and when I
me
had to fly
problem, though.
out again and get caught on the glass roof every time, I was like, this sucks ass. And then to try and make you like the glass roof more, they started putting little green blobby things to collect under the glass roof. I was like, no, get out of my face. So every time I go to the inscription bit, and I do inscription because I like making myself my own staff that I can keep throughout the entire expansion, and I love that. It's just so open, and it's so, and in alpha I was like, is this a bit empty, is this a bit like, but of course not, it's filled with players, right? So but the actual space itself is just so wide and open and has some negative space in it, and it's just like, yeah, this just feels great. It feels dwarven, it feels carved out of like the mountain, and it's like, yes,
it's so good,
just feels awesome. So I liked all that. I just thought the story of Dawnagor, like, and I still think like the main story of Dawnagor like goes through just a little bit quickly.
Interesting to hear that. I actually had that same impression of Azj-Kahet. I thought the story was too fast in Azj-Kahet because I was like, hold on, I understand there.
Well, you're a grown up. You decide how to play, right?
Exactly.
You don't have to.
Well, I had a bit of a deadline to finish that up, but I just felt like it went. I thought it was fine. I actually thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. But part of me was like, I think maybe because I had this kind of Suramar level expectation of it.
Yeah.
There were some quests where they're like, oh, go talk to the tailors, go, and they do a good job of getting you through the city of threads and meeting lots of characters. The fact that they're like horrific looking spiders, it took me a minute to get over. I'm like, no, they're people too. Yeah. They're people too, and they're they have lives and pets, and so I really enjoyed that. But a part of me was like, I almost wish I had more time, just learning about these factions, and I've chosen to make a pact with the general because I just want the title a noob, but like. I'm a simple girl.
Me too.
But,
that's literally,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, but the vizier is much cooler, but I just want the title. So I almost wish I had more time just to get to know, each of these factions. But again, that's a me problem. I could just do that on my own. Well, I look forward to do it.
I think I agree with you about Azj-Kahet, but I didn't say I have the same feeling as in Dawnagor, because with Azj-Kahet, like the campaign quest is kind of very, very obviously just the beginning with Azj-Kahet. Like it's there's the second you complete the campaign. So many things pop on that map.
So much has popped.
On Azj-Kahet particular, because then they're like, right, now you got to choose a faction. Yeah. Now you got to go out and find rumors and like fly around until stuff pops up, right? And then there's like so much to do in Azj-Kahet. So it's almost like most of Azj-Kahet happens after the campaign.
Exactly.
Which if you're just doing the campaign, you could say the same for any zone, right? But particularly so in Azj-Kahet. So I think there's very much a feeling of, it's not like Suramar. No, it doesn't. It's not like that linear story experience like Suramar, but there is that thing where you're going to be spending a lot of time there, right? You're going to be, it is very much like, this is where it's where the raid is set as well. So story-wise, it's very much, okay, because where the quests leave us at the very end of the campaign, after the max level quest as well, is basically we're all friends now.
Yeah, cool.
There have been, all of the earthen dwarves are back together, and they are like completely unified, and not only unified, but they are literally all unbound now. They've kind of abandoned their edicts, and they're just going to protect, because they've seen that it's kind of Asimothian, right? They're like, well, our edict is to protect Azeroth, but our first edict is to protect the core way, but we can't do both, and the Titans are going to wipe us out if we try and protect Azeroth and neglect the core. So and so they're like, well, screw the Titans then, right? So they're all together. Yeah. Then you've got like obviously the Ringing Deeps is back up and running, and the Sleeping Earthen are all waking up because we fixed the Awakening Machine, and all of the golems and stuff are getting remade there and stuff. In Hallowfall, I think there's a great dynamic in Hallowfall where, when we got there, it was the army that mostly held sway, which was very, very conservative in that it was like, we are here to preserve what we've got. Yeah. Every time we do anything, people die. And that's why our numbers are dwindling. We protect. We do what we've got to do, and we retreat. Yes. And we just make sure everyone's okay. And then you got the Lamplighters, who are a little bit younger, a little bit more full of spunk, as it were, and a little more proactive. Yeah. And they're like, no, we need to attack. We need to solve this now. And we need to like make sure this doesn't happen again. And over the course of that, we managed to change their mindsets. And now they're very much more like the Lamplighters than like the old military sort of thing. Exactly. So they are willing to now come out and help and be our friends. And likewise, Ashkahet, we're literally friends with Ashkahet now.
Yeah.
Like, awesome. I love that line in the cinematic, the last cinematic of the campaign, where we're suddenly realizing everything that Xal'atath has done, and Alleria has that great line, oh, you did this, you did that, you came to Dalaran, you unleashed us upon the Nerubians. Yeah. It's like, and
that's literally what happens.
Anyone else would say you unleashed Nerubians on us, but it's like, no, you unleashed us on them. You were using them. They were the ones you were sacrificing, sort of thing. And I think that's really awesome. So basically the only thing that's left now is we just need to overthrow the current leadership of Ashkahet, and then we're like we kind of, our job is done there really, and we're on to the next thing. Exactly. And we'll be doing that in the raid. And so a lot, so all of that kind of Ashkahet stuff with the subterfuge, like, oh, sneak in here and steal this, and oh, go and kill these generals, and like all of that is in service of the story that's then told in the raid and like the rebellion and stuff like that. But when that's done, we'll all be friends. Have you seen with your what's the currency in Ashkahet? Is it Kek or something? Kez? I'm not sure.
Ket? I know.
You've got the usual thing. There's like a ring, there's like a a hat and stuff. But for 8,888,000,
oh my god,
888 Kez.
No.
You can buy the Queen's pheromones. Which, if you use them on your character, means no guards attack you.
That's pretty cool.
In Ashkahet.
That's
for just
pretty cool.
8,888,888 Kej. That's all it's going to cost you. And I wonder if that's like even possible, but I really want to try.
It's tempting.
I really want to try to get it. Yeah.
Cash. It's literally cash. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. It's literally cash. All right. So the story of Ringing Deeps I felt was paced a lot better, and I really enjoyed it. And in fact, it was because those storylines were much longer and more involved. I was like, I wonder if Evie is actually going to carry on doing her every single quest thing when we get to these zones, right?
Heck yeah.
And you did hit a bit of a wall when there was just like another candle quest like popping up, like another kobold quest.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I pushed through it, and it was worth it, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I love the quests that kind of return you back to, because some quests, if you're doing Lore Master, only pop after you finish the main campaign or after you finish kind of other stories, so you have to kind of go back and revisit, and it sends you all over back and forth to Isle of Dorn in between. And I thought those are a really lovely way to kind of I'm enjoying the travel between the zones. And I have to say, I remember when, before the expansion launched, I was concerned because, about the undergroundness. And we were like, okay, you've got Isle of Dorn at the top, and then underground, you go down, 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 right? Like you kind of, the way it was presented was like, you're going to travel kind of through each zone, and it gets deeper and deeper. And that's it is kind of true, but I do love how you have the above ground, Isle of Dorn, and then you have the 3 zones beneath. And I actually love traversing the area between
I really look forward to it.
I love that there are different ways. I love like the little elevator in the Ringing Deeps. I love that there's an elevator. I love that there are like multiple entry and exit points between Ashkahet, like in Hallowfall. And it's that, flying through those to go and do a quest to pick things up was how I discovered kind of multiple fronts, right? And Azkahet is the Nerubians were attacking on multiple fronts and then just coming down and seeing like these different entry points. I actually think it is so cool. I actually really, really love the setup of it. And at no point have I felt stuck underground or claustrophobic or like tired of being underground, because it's just so lush, the environments, and it is so cool.
And like, I feel, we're going to go into some more specifics in just a moment of like the review, okay? But obviously I am gushing about the expansion a little bit at the moment, but also I'm very aware it's week 2 of normal access. It's week 3 of early access. Shadowlands was great for the first 2 weeks and felt really, really good. And it doesn't always maintain that. And that's the thing about an MMO RPG, right? It's kind of, bits of it can be good, but how perpetually good is it going to be for its whole 2-year life? And there's so many different things that kind of you decide whether an expansion is good and successful or not. But I do want to say that, I just want to reiterate that the story for me so far and the whole setting, I think a worry that I had going into this expansion was the fact that they just announced the World Soul Saga and they were like, this is going to be 3 expansions worth of story, and it's going to tell a story over 3 expansions. It's going to be this big thing. It's going to give us all this space and time to play with, and to set things up and to pay them off. And I was like, that is brilliant. That's really cool. We all want that. But I was a little bit worried that would mean that the War Within would open with a bit of a slow burn, because you're starting a saga, right? You're starting a new story and you've got all the time in the world. And I was worried that they'd be like, hey, we don't need to rush this. We got 3 expansions to tell this story. We can kind of, really take our time and build nicely in that, which I think I haven't played the new Dawn Trail expansion, but I think that's maybe a trap they fall into a little bit with Final Fantasy XIV. They're starting a new saga and it's like, let's take really long for this to get going, which proved to be quite frustrating to some players. My apologies if I've read that wrong, but that's just what I tend to see in online. And I was a bit worried it was going to be a slow burn, but no, they throw everything at it, like from the second you start, from the second you begin, and the reason I think this is the best kind of story-wise opening patch in WoW is because I think it has the best single arc, like from the beginning of the expansion, and like through the leveling, and then to the end of the max level campaign quests, which aren't always a thing in past expansions anyway. And I think it leaves you in this brilliant place where you've done something, you've made the world better, you've made a difference, you've made something not happen, which would have been terrible. There's obviously loads more to come, but there is like a defined arc with like a beginning, middle, and basic end within that arc, which WoW has been terrible at doing in the past. It's always been like you've done that initial kind of leveling stuff, and it's always like, well, see you in the raid sort of thing. And I'm so glad that they actually had like a properly structured story with a satisfying payoff at the end of it, just from the level campaign, which it makes me so happy.
Can we talk about that story?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to, but specifics wise, I just want to pick your brains about some things first.
Okay, yeah.
So because this is a review, I'm going to throw some topics at you, and I would like to hear your opinions on them.
Nice, okay.
So topic number 1, hub cities.
Yeah, they're cool. Dornagal, beautiful. Merildar, I'm hardly really in it, so I can't really speak to it.
But don't you love like the really kind of euphoric music and stuff?
It is beautiful. It is beautiful, but I think it's actually one of my I think it is my least favorite hub city. I love Dornagal. I love Gundergaz. I don't know why.
So this is the Taliesin podcast from now on. There's no Evitel here. I don't see what she offers on the sea. We just didn't click as hosts. There was no chemistry. Everyone agrees. Yeah. And that's the end of on this podcast. You can pick up the kids now if you want.
I love Gundergaz. Because I spent so much time in there, and Azkahet is city of threads, right, or whatever. Our little
love that stuff, don't you? The first time you were in Azkahet, you came down. You were like, that is me. That is my place. Right?
I was not expecting to like it. I wasn't expecting to be like super thrilled about the whole kind of spidery vibe, but the whole atmosphere, the music there is insane. The music is like so ridiculous and sumptuous and over the top, and like, it's, you know, just like a little spooky, but it really, they like, seriously, huge props to the music team who have captured something really special in each zone. Like, the music really tells a story. It creates a vibe. I love it. So yeah. Okay, next question.
Hero talents.
Here. Oh. So I've been playing Hunter. Yeah.
Okay, so this is just the Taliesin podcast from now on.
So I've been playing Beast Mastery, and I did not enjoy Black Arrow so much when I was testing it because it was literally just another arrow, and I ain't got time for that. Genuinely.
Wait, a hunter who has no time for arrows. No, I think maybe you're playing the wrong class. Can I just gently, politely suggest that maybe you're playing the wrong class?
It is possible, which is why I really wanted to play mage as well. Like, my mage was ready. It was like on the cusp of playing arcane mage, and then I was like, nah, it's got to be Evitel. It's got to do it. So I was like, I can't do Dark Ranger because it's just another arrow. So I'm just doing Pack Leader, which is nothing. It just gives me a bit of extra, like, kill command or whatever. It's fine. I don't notice it. I don't think about it. And in that sense, it's okay. But I do look at other classes, like your Oracle, right? Or whatever. Or Void Weaver, like
Void Weaver rocks.
My
priest is great. Yeah,
like, I see other classes with cool visual shit, and I'm like, man, I better play my arcane mage.
I think at this stage, and you know, like I say, it's week 2, but at this stage, hero talents do seem to be doing what they were supposed to do, as in, like, they're just a fun thing to play. They add a little bit of extra flavor to your class. Like, when I'm playing an alt and stuff, I look forward to playing with them and finding out which ones I need for which situations and stuff like that, and unlocking the different bits. And, you know, I enjoy the different kind of visual variants that most of them bring. If you're not a hunter,
you
know, the notable exceptions are notable, but most of them bring a little bit of flavor. Some of them much better than others. And yeah, they seem pretty harmless at the moment. The biggest worry was that they were going to ruin the entire game, and they haven't done that so far. So I guess we'll see. I mean, you know, season 1 isn't open yet. So like,
we'll
metas haven't had a chance to really solidify yet. And we'll see what happens then. But at the moment, I'm quietly optimistic that hero talents, you know, have avoided being the disaster that I was fearful
exactly.
they might be.
They're not like covenants. I feel like they're more on the back burner. Like, you know, I remember choosing your covenant was like, it's this or you die. Like, this or nothing. And it was like, wow, okay.
Guess I die.
Sure. Guess I'll die. Or guess I will literally just play whatever. Oh my God, I completely forgot the name of the zone. Like, you know, Happy Spirit Land. And nothing else. Because
basically.
Yeah, because you can get through.
It was do you know what? That was the worst thing about Covenants. Honestly, the worst thing about Covenants was the way it dictated what zone your hub had to be in.
You had to play most of your time in the zone. And
did we not learn from BFA that, like, what hub city you're in has like a huge impact on the amount that you enjoy the game? Alliance players to this day have better memories of BFA than Horde players, because their city was just nicer to traverse on a day-to-day basis. Like, they were both beautifully designed, both incredible, but from like getting to your table, to your thing, to your thing, to your thing, to the thing, like, it was just so much better for Alliance. And to this day, I think if you did a poll of Alliance and Horde players, Alliance players would be far and away the players that found BFA a good expansion compared to Horde ones.
I love BFA.
And then in Shadowlands, they were like, yo, there are going to be 4 different hubs, and they're all like very different, but you basically don't get to decide which one you're going to be in. Sorry.
Your personality, your whole vibe is going to be dictated by what does better DPS. And it's like, oh man.
It wasn't even the abilities really, it was the hub. I think that was the single biggest change you could make. Change the hub. And maybe if you did that, you if just put everyone in Ouroboros, you wouldn't have had to make Ouroboros so rubbish either. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway.
We are back.
Digression.
The war within. So I'm quietly optimistic about hero talents right now.
Okay. Next question.
New characters.
New characters. As in characters that have been introduced to you?
Yes, new characters have been introduced in this expansion.
Oh,
the
yeah.
War Within, the review that we're doing right now.
Okay.
I'd like you to talk about that in 2 seconds. I'm so sorry, I have to go for a bio.
Okay.
But you talk about that.
Tally.
Yeah.
You hold it in.
I won't hold it in. I'm going to the toilet, so I have to hold it in.
So I've really enjoyed the characters we've met along the way. Obviously, Farron, we used to call her Farron, but it seems like the pronunciation is a bit more Farron, is so sweet and lovely, and not what I expected from her character, from what we like our initial impressions of her, right? Because she's a fighter, like she's been through it, she's scarred. I loved her interactions with Anduin. I thought they were really heartfelt and sweet, and I feel like I really enjoyed Dragonflight. Like, I thought it was a great expansion. I thought it was really, really good, but I feel like some of the sweetness could be a little bit overpowering, just like too many teaspoons of sugar sometimes. And then it was kind of unfortunately hammered home by the whole like, we're all family kind of cinematics and storylines and quests, even though I really enjoyed Caligos's Blue Dragonflight stuff. So, that sometimes sweetness doesn't feel earned or like merited, but I really loved Farron, and especially in contrast to, she's living in this, like, with the Arathi, and they're like a military society, and they function, they've changed now. They follow the Lamplighters more now, but they're this pretty like hardcore military society. All the quests really hammer home how many people die. Like, people are constantly dying. You're constantly picking up, their tinder boxes. You're picking up their mementos. You're always like leaving stuff on graves and stuff. So I feel like her kind of sweetness in the face of all of this happening is actually pretty awesome and really affecting and really cool. And I say sweetness, she's just, she has a heart, and she's a lamplighter. She guides the way, but she's still an absolute badass with one arm, and like an absolute like queen. I adore her, but I loved her interactions with Anduin, and I loved the way she kind of goes through Hallowfall, goes to the orphanage. Again, all of these things, I think it's really hard to do a game like WoW and make those interactions feel like earned and not like sappy. I really, really enjoyed her. I've really enjoyed our kind of like spider Nerubian buddies that we've met along the way, and they're like different forms.
I took the opportunity to take my jumper off while I was gone.
Well done.
So, what do you think of the new characters?
Yeah, so I've just been talking about Farron because I think she is such a cool, in the face of like all of the shit they have to put up with in Hallowfall, like the death, the dying. The quests really hammer home how often people die.
Yes.
Like that people are just dying. And her softness, in contrast to that, is like this amazing kind of strength. I really loved her. I loved meeting Dagran is like a sweetheart, and I'll do anything for him, even though he asks me to do kind of annoying things, like
so
go
annoying.
To a delve. He's like,
but he's so annoying in such a soft, lovely
delve?
way.
And I'm like, of course, baby, like of course I'm gonna do that. Like of course I'm gonna do that for you. He's really good. Yes, really enjoying the new quests, the new characters, and also, oh my god, I really enjoyed the last bit part towards the end of the campaign where you are getting the Stormrooks back on your side.
Oh yeah, I like that too.
She is so good. The kind of the head Storm Rider lady who has now been appointed. I loved her quest. I loved that with Thrall, and I love how she was not the person. Didn't think she was the person for the job, and I thought her voice acting was very like emotional for an earthen. It was really, and she kind of kept it reined in. But I loved that quest, and I loved that character. She's the bomb.
Delves.
Okay, delves are cool. I'm in. I'm on board with delves. I opened my first like bountiful coffer, whatever, and it was great. I got the little boat. Airship.
The dirigible.
Yeah.
So the play is to not use your coffer keys until heroic.
I know,
is
but
open.
I had to use one because I really wanted the dirigible.
That's exactly what I did too.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm going to keep the other ones. I'm just going to use one because I really want to get this little achievement and I want to open up the whole delve system before I jump into it properly, obviously, with season 1. I enjoy delves. Again, I like how I've had a couple integrated kind of into the main campaign and story. Bran like kept dying in my early ones, but now I've buffed him up a little bit. I've done enough where he's like useful.
What level is he?
God, I don't know. I don't keep track.
He's 10 for me.
Okay.
I know because I got an achievement.
Oh,
popped.
yes. I've also got that because
Yeah.
he was like, oh, come back to me when I'm level 10. And I'm like, and I turned in the
Yeah.
quest. So he is at least he's 10. So I think they're fun. There's something really nice about just pressing keys and doing damage. Like not loads of mechanics, like just killing mobs, and then getting a reward at the end for it. It feels good. I can see myself doing it on like new characters and alts who I just want to like play through and practice a little bit.
See that. So if there was more XP for them, I'd be really happy to kind of level through them a bit more. There's not. They're not.
No.
They're just not good XP, which is a shame. I'd like to see that little buffed a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like there's obviously a lot of comparison with Delves and Torghast, and I think that's a fair comparison, honestly. Obviously, the reward structure is very, very different. I think Delves wins over Torghast by quite some way.
Huge
and I think its
for me.
biggest strength, apart from having a companion with you, which is lovely because you don't feel so lonely, is the hand design nature of them. Like, the fact that they're not procedurally generated, the fact that once you've done one, the stuff you might have to do in it changes sometimes, but you know where the beginning is, you know your way around it, you know the end of it. And there was always that feeling in Torghast of this room again, this room again, this room again, and like, you know, this is designed by designers and it feels that way more so than Torghast does. And it's more satisfying as a result, I think.
I agree. And Torghast was threatening, which was fun in the beginning. And then like everything, like the Maw, having everything wanting to destroy you at all times, like it just gets you down after
well, there's
a while.
obviously a much greater like variance in aesthetics in Delves as well because they're in different zones and they're different, different
exactly.
themes and
there
stuff.
are loads of them.
Very consistently themed within a delve. And I love it. Dungeons.
I have here's the deal.
Yeah, okay.
I have run 2 dungeons.
What dungeons have you run?
The Rookery and
The ones you had to do in questing.
Yes.
Makes sense, man. You've been busy doing all of those quests.
Yeah, no, exactly. And also because I specifically did not want to level through dungeons because I know it's like super effective and I know it's a good thing to do. But I didn't want to level and then suddenly miss a bunch of story by not playing it.
Fair, honestly.
I love that people, I like next character. Yeah, I'll probably just like bop some dungeons.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, I did the Rookery on follower mode and I loved it.
As part of the story, right? Because your followers then are like Baelgrim and the other kind of rook guys,
And I loved, I was excited when they announced follower mode simply because I was like, okay, cool, another way that people can play, another tool for WoW players. Great, really good. Like, I think this is awesome. It's accessible, it's cool. And then I was like, I'm actually playing a follower dungeon. And I'm enjoying it because I'm absorbing the quest and the story. I understand what's happening. Like now I have seen the path through the dungeon. I know the mobs and stuff. Like I'm not just going to watch a video or a guide in order to like bop it. I'm actually going to learn it myself first. That for me, things that make me learn things on my own are extremely effective. And I think for some people out there, that's also true.
Yeah.
Like,
and not only do you have that lack of pressure from other players, but actually like doing a follower dungeon takes a while because they're not just blasting through everything. You know, you are kind of like ambling through.
I was leveling up
your own
through
pace.
it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think there are some great dungeons in this expansion.
I cannot wait to do the rest of them actually because I picked up all of the quests. Those are those are the quests that I have not completed along the way where it's like do the dungeon. I'm like, I'll do it later.
Yeah. Cinderbrew Meadery is super fun. It's got like incredibly intense pockets of trash, and it's just got this excellent commentary all the way through because the idea is like this goblin woman has like a taken over Cinderbrew Meadery by basically tricking your guy into signing a thing, and we're going to take it back.
No.
And she's just like punning all the way through. She's like, and there's just so many bee puns, and there's no shame, and it's brilliant. And the voice lines in it are just terrific, and clearly setting up goblins being a thing in the next major patch, I think. And if they do it as well as that, I'll be really into it. Like really, really cool. Nice. And then there is Dawnbreaker, which I genuinely believe, and I am. You're going to say this is hyperbolic, but I don't think it is. I genuinely think that Dawnbreaker is the best dungeon ever made.
I haven't played it yet.
I think it's the best dungeon
you're selling
ever
it to me.
put
I'm
into
very
the
excited
game.
to play it.
Like,
wow. Okay.
It's just
Big
so
words, Tally.
good because the way it utilizes dragon riding into like genuine mechanics and being part of the dungeon. You know how every time you get a dungeon where, you know, they try and introduce some exciting thing, but it's just boring because it's like WoW vehicle stuff, and you're like, oh god, I hate this. This is the worst bit. Well, with dynamic flight, it's also dynamic and organic as well. So, you know, you're running along, you're on an airship, and they're like, yo, you need to go and get those airships either side of us. They're shooting at us. So you mount up and you like take off the airship, and you fly to the other airships just in real time, like you're doing it, right? And it's incredible. And like the airships, they're all moving along, and so you're like veering off, and you have to get back on and get onto them and stuff. And then if you're an evoker and you just take off,
of course you do,
or like not even an evoker, like any Drakthir. If you're a Drakthir hunter, it's kind of next patch as well.
Yeah, those are coming by the way.
We didn't talk about all the different classes for Drakthir. My god. Then you're like, boom, like that, and it's so good. And then there's like a whole boss mechanic where you're fighting her, and she's just like, yo, I'm gonna do a big purple ball now, I'm gonna blow up this ship. So you have to get on your mount, and you have to fly around while she's doing that until it's safe to land again and bop her again. And then, and this is the reason so many people in the chat now are going absolutely crazy and going, oh no, it's a horrible dungeon, it's a terrible dungeon, it's not good. It's because no one can do this bit. Is down in the city, there's like a boss, and the idea is you take out like 3 lieutenants to weaken the boss, and then you can fight the boss, sort of thing. 2 problems with this. People don't know how the map works yet, so they haven't worked out that the yellow dots on the maps are the guys that you're supposed to go to take out before you take out the boss. And like obviously top level players at the moment are just taking out like 1 general and then taking out the boss, which is a really bad thing for normal people to do. So you've got all of these groups that even if they do know what to do, half the time they just kill one of the generals and then they go and kill the boss, and everyone just gets absolutely kicked. And you know, half the time people don't even know what's going on. But as soon as people learn what's going on in that dungeon, and they do that as a matter of course, it's going to be super fun. And then at the end, you just have this great chase section as well. And so you get 4 mechanics of using dynamic flying, and it's brilliant. It's so cool. So yeah, first time you're there, it is the pug breaker, right? And it's, you know, people hate it, but stick with it, guys. I can guarantee you most of the people telling me that's a terrible dungeon in the chat right now, by the end of this expansion will be like, do you know what, Tally, I was wrong, this is a really fun dungeon, I was just bad at it. So like if you ask people what a good dungeon is right now, they'll tell you Arakara, right? Because and you ask them why is Arakara better than Dawnbreaker, and they go, because it's really quick. It's like, if it was a good dungeon, it wouldn't matter if it was quick, because you'd be enjoying it.
Right, okay.
Like, if the dungeon was good, the best thing that you could say about it wasn't that it's quick, right? Dawnbreaker is a good dungeon, which is fun to play. That's why that's a good dungeon. Like, if your main thing is like, oh, I like dungeons that are quick, that's not saying it's good, you know? Like, that's saying I don't like the dungeon and I'm glad it's over quickly. Like, that's not a compliment. Yeah. So no, like, yeah, quick, like Dawnbreaker is amazing, and I it's so dynamic, and it's so exciting and action packed, and it is also quite linear, and you know you can bot through it if you know what you're doing, and I think it's fantastic, and I think it's great, and I can guarantee you at least half of the people in this chat who are disagreeing with me right now, you're gonna come crawling back. No, you're gonna come crawling back at the end of this expansion. You're gonna be like, do you know what? Give me your biggest plate of shit, because I'm going to eat it because I was wrong.
Wow.
And Tally was right.
Wow. Very exciting.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, as soon as people know what they're doing, then it's going to be brilliant. Priory's great. Yeah, there's so much going on. Okay, right.
Right.
Without touching the last cinematic right now, cinematics.
Oh, awesome. So good. You know, I love looking at Xalatoth's face. I thought they were just like really beautifully done and affecting. You know, like when I knew they were going to be great from the opening bit when you're in Dalaran and you get that little like Nerubian shit is going down. Dalaran is going down. Literally, stuff is quaking. And when it transitions to like a big kind of like Anub, whatever, pops up out of the ground, you see him, and then the camera zooms out and you're back in the game and your character's there playing.
Yeah.
From that moment, I was like, that's good. It's really good. It's really great. The character animations are really really detailed and beautiful. Like Anduin, you can really see the sadness in his eyes.
He's so sad.
He's so sad.
About literally everything.
Yeah, but it's I thought they were I really enjoyed them. I thought they were great. I love them. They've really stepped up their game with just physical animations, and they are good.
What do you think of the Magni one?
Oh, it's so good.
That is like the equivalent, I guess, of like the Ysera cinematic in Legion and Shadowlands.
Yes. Yeah. Someone has to make a sacrifice. And
but kind of where it comes in the game and like the feels that it's evoking and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. And then him kind of getting his bard back. It was really lovely and touching, and there's some really nice shots, I think, in that cinematic and in other ones, of like Moira and Dagran, like just kind of standing next to each other. And I feel like this doesn't often come across in WoW, but you really get a sense of them being like son and mother. Like you just get this really nice sense of them kind of being a unit, which again, I just think it's hard to come across in a game like this. And I loved it.
Yeah. I think it's really affecting. And okay, now I want your opinion.
Yes.
On the climax of the story campaign and essentially the non-competitive content of like this opening patch of the War Within. So, the quest that opened yesterday, we talked about, training up the Stormrooks. Oh, what did you think of before we do, what do you think of the air combat in the Stormrooks
I loved
quest?
that so much. I loved air combat. I love the bit where there's like, you've got your big giant like stony guy like swiping at the little bats flying around and you're zooming around and like, practicing. And then when you actually have to go and fight, the Titan. Like, oh my God, when the Titan just like comes out of the water, the water or whatever, and you're like,
and it's like, he's
shit.
going to shoot at you, so surge forward so you get a little shield.
Exactly.
To survive it.
And you learn that quickly, and you're like, oh yes, okay, awesome. Like, I thought that was so fun. And then you're just doing like these bombing runs, and as you do it, you've got your team talking to you, like in Star Fox. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it literally is like Star Fox. Their little faces pop up, and it's like, I hope we remember our training. It shouldn't be so hard to do since we only did it 5 minutes ago, and stuff like that. And then firing those lightning. And obviously there's gonna be loads more air combat in this game because that was a huge success. I loved it. It was brilliant in alpha, but then to play it in the game with the music and like the voice acting and just the excitement of it all and the cutscene. Great. Loved it. Yes, more of that. Congratulations. That was a big dub. Really fantastic. So now we're going to talk about the climax of the story.
Yes.
Run us through your thinking for like the scenario and the story and how it ended and the final cinematic and like how it worked as a capstone, I guess.
Yeah. So I wrapped up kind of the quests leading up to it, the main campaign quests leading up to it, and then I jumped into it today. And I mean, one, it's really noisy. Like when you when you drop into the battle, it's so loud.
I loved that.
And there's like ambient sound all around.
It's like literal white noise, like
and it really made you feel like you were in it. And then going down onto the battlefield and just, I love stuff like that feels like, ultimate or penultimate battle.
It very rarely does in WoW because it's just like the structure of the game and stuff. Doing big battles is actually really hard to do. I feel like
Warfronts?
Well, Siege of Lordaeron did it really well in the opening bit outside of Lordaeron. And I think this did it really well as well. You did feel like you were dropping into something like it was just manic and happening and it was wild.
It was super cool. And then I love the bit when you go on the ship, the flying ship, and you get off, and you have to light the braziers or whatever before you go and confront Xalatath. It took me a second because a mechanic was happening where I was running out of light and I didn't realize, and then I got ported back to the beginning and I was like, a mechanic was happening.
Oh, you were playing there and I just heard this. Oh, what?
But it wasn't punishing, right? So again, just like it's really good. Like I just had to go and continue and then make sure Farron did her little little light thing. I thought it was really cool, and the whole kind of through line with Illyria, I've found interesting because at certain points I found her really annoying. I was like, just stop being so angry, Illyria. Just rein it in for a minute. But then when you get to this kind of ending confrontation with Xalatath, and she spills the beans, right? Mm-hmm. She's like,
oh, they have those little flashbacks of you did this and you did that.
Yeah, but actually, and you get hints of this throughout where you're like, oh, everyone's getting angry, and it's like, big flashbacks to kind of the Shaw of anger and whatever. And Pandaria, thank you for Pandaria Remix, so everyone's memories were refreshed on this on this run. But yeah, you get these big flashbacks to like, oh yes, okay, we are we're being played and we are all being made to be angry, right? Like, and
my read was she kind of like she turned the whole zone into like just this kind of microcosm or a hotspot of just like void, right? So like you had the big void crystal, but you also had the black blood coming up, and you also had like the fury of like a whole war happening and stuff like that.
Exactly. And so of course, she reveals that she had set us all up to fight the Nerubians and to like siphon all of our hatred and anger and violence. That's the thing. She's like, you mortals. She's like, you love violence. Even like Anduin jumping in with the sword at one point, like, we can't help ourselves, right? I really enjoyed that. And then I was like, okay, Illyria kind of clicked for me. And bless him, Terralian, where she's like, hey babe, good to see you. You wait here.
And I'll be back. She's like, I gotta go. And he's like, what? He literally
goes,
what? What do you mean? We're fighting a war.
Yeah.
And she's like, dude, your place is here.
Yeah.
Your place is here on the battlefield in the war. Me and Anduin have got some shit to sort out. Me and this much younger version of you actually.
Yeah, basically.
I've got some shit to sort out. You stay here in the unimportant battle. Me and Anduin. We're the World Source Scions. Are you a World Source Scion? I haven't seen you in the key arts, so I'm gonna say no.
You are ancient and powerful. But and that cracked me up. But then I really enjoyed that whole quest, and I thought it was really cool. I loved Xalatath's reaction when Illyria destroys the Dark Heart. I mean, she destroys it, but all that energy is like coalescing. I love the animations. I love Xalatath's like scream, because she's usually so,
collected.
She's so collected and devious. And then when she got angry, she was like, this isn't over. This isn't it. I thought that was really great. And then of course, the little magical raven flying out of the cloud, landing on the floor and turning into Khadgar. I mean, we saw it coming. I saw it coming because Tally watched this yesterday, streamed it yesterday.
I tried not to go too loud.
I had my big headphones on, but I couldn't not hear Illyria going, Khadgar. Not now, right? No, it's not, no, Khadgar. And then I was like, oh, shoot. So I knew that Khadgar was back in some form, but I did not know Anduin's summoning of the light to bring him back. And I loved that. I loved
Sorry,
Anduin.
Someone in the chat just called me fat.
Yeah, because you are.
Yeah, it's because every time I fuck your mum, she gives me a biscuit.
Oh my God. I was gonna say fat with PH, with a PH.
Oh right, well that too, right?
Yeah, you're fat. But so I loved I loved Anduin kind of just like summoning the light, and it was subtle, and he finally connected with it, and he'd been struggling with it for so long, and he did it to just kind of give Khadgar that little like jolt, and bring him back, and he looked very tired and weathered, as he should.
Yeah, I know that feeling, mate.
Because he died. He was dead right there for a few for a few seconds. It was really cool seeing him come back. And then, that leaves us where we are now. Anduin going off and having a little conversation with Thrall, I thought was really lovely at the end. Again, I find myself not being annoyed by Anduin because it could be easy to be annoyed by him, but I wasn't, and I thought it was great. And I love that scene when you come back and you hang out with the Earthen, and they are all like, "Well done," and the Earthen and Ferrin is there too, and they're like, "Good job, you did good. We're proud of you." I was like, "Oh, thank you."
I agree with much of that. Do you think it worked as like a big climax to the whole arc and the whole story?
I thought it was pretty cool. I feel like it was a good climax. It was a good first climax, because there are many more to come.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and
totally.
I think we forget.
I know, you're always like I'm always that's basically our entire life. I was like, was that a good climax? You're like, it was a good first climax.
Yeah, it was a good first one. There are many yet to come.
Get the biscuits out.
So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good setup, right? And like you say, we're friends with the spiders now. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, and all the stuff with Ansarek I thought was really, really cool. I loved how.
Did the reveal with her mum come as a surprise to you?
Yes, actually. That was when you're in Ashkahet and you see her for the first time, but you don't know what she is. You realize that's Ansarek. I was like, oh, actually. That was a big surprise to me. I had no clue. Oh, yeah. And I love that character that you do that quest with, Lillian Voss, and the other one who gets kind of taken over by Zalatath.
I really like that as well.
That was a really fun quest line.
And when she starts chasing you,
and then she's like,
she's so cool, and she does the T-1000 thing, and you take off, and she's like zoom, 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 zoom over the roofs, and it's like that was actually kind of
was scary and cool.
It was a little bit.
And then I really like how characters tend not to die. Like she gets knocked out, and Lillian is like, okay, let's see what we can do. Same with Ansarek. I actually loved that we didn't kill Ansarek, and then when you go out and speak to the Vizier. Out afterwards, and he's like, oh, thank you. I'm not a monarchist, but I love how they love their queen. They're like, she's been manipulated, she's been turned into this monstrous thing, and we're gonna help her. And they're like, we're gonna take her back and see what we can do. And I actually thought, I thought it was really good. Yeah, really, really good.
I've got to ask, and I know we've got a hard stop coming today.
We do,
and we will do from now on because of school. But I have seen some people being, and I would actually class myself as my least favorite bit, probably of the whole story so far, was the way that Alleria dealt with the dark and the way she beat Zalatath in the end, I guess.
Oh, I remember hearing you talk about this yesterday.
And this idea that it's. I mean, the story leading up to it, I completely get, and I get all the beats leading up to it. In Dalaran, she fires at Zalatath and misses, right? Mm-hmm. And then again at the end of the Ashkahet story, she gives away their position. She fires at Zalatath and misses, right? And then she has some good character progress where she's like, I was chasing vengeance. I need to be chill and I need to be cool, and I will be cool from now on. And then, this represents that being put into action, and this is her character arc, this is her character growth. And now, instead of just being like, there's Zalatath, rage, shoot, it's like, I'm gonna be a bit smarter than this, and I'm gonna and I'm gonna trick her, basically. And I just feel like shooting the Dark Heart is a great thing and really clever instead of going for Zalatath, but it kind of read a bit funny for me because shooting the Dark Heart kind of was shooting Zalatath because she was holding it.
See,
do you know what I mean?
I actually have a different reading on that.
Excellent.
So I love that bit because that for me is it's Illyria realizing what she's been fighting against all along, which she thinks is Zalatath, but it's not. It's the hatred. It's the grudge.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
the violence.
I get that. Yeah,
and the Dark Heart is the embodiment of all of those things. Literally, it sucks all those things up and makes a Xal'atath more powerful. So that Illyria is chasing Xal'atath from day one, from the beginning of the expansion. So I really loved her just like stopping and be like, yeah, actually, it's not about you. We're fighting something else. And that's when Khadgar comes back and he's like, Illyria, I knew you would figure it out. I knew you knew what this was about. It was about fighting all of that anger, hatred, violence in, there. Not Xal'atath herself, because Xal'atath can just dissipate into a cloud, right? Literally. But yeah, I really like
that. Worked for you? You didn't find that like...
Nope, that totally worked for me. And I was like, yeah, that is what this is all about. And Illyria has learned that, and it allowed her to actually be like effective.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I agree. Like that's my reading of the story, and that's very clear. And I just feel like, for me, the way she shot the Dark Heart, which was, basically, I mean, we were talking about it on stream a lot, and it's like, oh, she put a bit of curve in her arrow. You see her hand just change position as she fires the arrow. It's like, oh, she put curve in it, so she wasn't even shooting at Xal'atath, and Xal'atath dodged because she assumed the arrow was going for her, and that's what made it hit the Dark Heart. It's like, well, if you're going to do that, why not just shoot Xal'atath anyway? But whatever. And like, no, I agree with you, and I'm glad.
I think it's impossible to shoot Xal'atath.
Yeah, I guess
she is impossible. Yeah. She's like, you can't kill me.
You know what? Absolutely fair.
Nothing will like penetrate her. Like nothing will go through her defenses. She tells you, she's like, you literally cannot kill me. And so it took Illyria getting over that and then finding the thing that the actual war within.
What? You've won me over on that a little bit. When do you think we'll see Xal'atath again?
Oh, soon. I hope.
I don't think we're going to see her in 11.1.
No. Okay.
I think 11.1 is going to be a mostly like 99% Xal'atath free patch. I think we damaged the Dark Heart, and thing is, she's clearly using the Dark Heart to at this stage, I think we can say, to absorb different types of magic. So she used it on Galakron. Iridikron used it on Galakron to get, we think, death magic. Could be rot as well, but probably death. And then she used it in Dalaran to get all of the arcane magic. So she's got death and arcane in there. Obviously in Hallowfall she was using it to get shadow and void, so she's got 3 of the 6 cosmological forces in there now.
She's collecting
and
them.
And that's the thing, like, it's a prison. It's she's not asking those things to work for her, those powers. Like, she is enslaving that power in the Dark Heart, right? And then with the arrow hitting it, and you could see the void like seeping out, and it was like, she quickly teleported away because it's like, okay, I gotta fix this. And as the void energy she just captured in there was escaping, so Khadgar escaped, right, as well. She probably didn't even know he was in there, I don't think. I like that, but I think they'll use that as an opportunity to be like, okay, well, Xal'atath has been front and center now for like the whole build up, for this whole opening patch. She appears throughout all the Mythic Plus dungeons as well. 11.1, Goblin Land or whatever, it will be Xal'atath free. It'll be this other thing they have to do, which Xal'atath isn't involved in, and then Xal'atath comes back for 11.2. That's what seems likely to me.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. I can see
and
them
I'm not
giving
sure
her a little bit of
I get the thinking behind it, and it seems like reasonable thinking. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. On paper, that seems like that was the right thing to do. But I love Xali so much.
I know what you mean.
I mean, she's such a good baddie. Yeah. She's so good.
She's a great baddie. Yeah. And now we have time, we will resuscitate Khadgar. We'll give him some biscuits, make him feel better, and then he will tell us what it was like to be stuck inside the Dark Heart. Yeah, he will no doubt have plenty of insight.
Well, he's going to be the guy that tells us what on earth is going on all the time.
Exactly.
He's like, I've seen this shit.
He's like, like, this is the real fight. Here you go. Yeah. Let me tell you.
So someone's like, someone asks, how do you think she'll get disorder magic, i.e. fell into the Dark Heart? It's like, I don't know, man. If only there was some massive thing sticking out of the ground that was like of the fell realm and, burning with fell fire. And if only there was like some monument or landmark or really massive thing that anyone could go to at any point and get like fell out of it. If only. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Right, we need to do some super chats.
We do.
All right, let's have a look. Thank you guys for all the super chats today. This is awesome. Hello, Tally. Hello, Evie. Hi, Rico. Cheers and love. This is your friendly reminder of Super Chats existing. Happy times. Thank you for the Super Chat reminder of the Super Chats. Next one is up from Slade. Thank you so much. Love you guys. Been watching the show since inception. Laura question, when do you think they will reveal that Sargeras was trying to free Azeroth when he plunged the sword into the planet to save her?
Well, I don't think he was.
Okay.
I think he was trying to kill Azeroth because his raison d'etre is pretty clear. Like, he wants to kill Azeroth so that, the Void can't turn it into a Void Titan. That's like his motivation, right? He's so scared of the Void turning Azeroth into a Void Titan. It's like, I'm just going to kill it. It's the best thing to do, whatever. And I'll fight anyone that tries to stop me. However, by the last Titan, we will have dealt with the Void in the same way we dealt with the Burning Legion in Legion, right? So the Void won't actually be a thing anymore. And, if all the Titans, say, I don't know, were to die at the end of Midnight or the beginning of Last Titan, there'd only be one Titan left, the one who's in jail currently in, like, Titan prison. If we went to him and we were like, yo, we need your help to save Azeroth, and he would be like, I don't want to save Azeroth, I want to kill Azeroth so she doesn't turn into a Void Titan. And we'd be like, oh, you'd probably be quite interested to know that we've defeated the Void now. They're not a threat. They're not a thing. But we do need your help to save Azeroth now against this other thing. There's, I think there's every reason why he would be like, oh, okay. Well, wait, you sure the Void's not a thing? Let me see it with my own eyes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I'll save Azeroth now. Like, if his motivation is based around the existence of the Void, if we beat the Void, then there's no reason for him to want to destroy Azeroth anymore. So yeah, that's what I think. If it turns out he was trying to save Azeroth, then I'd be very, very interested to learn more about that. But I have an open mind to it as well. I'll happily eat up that shit. Give me that big plate of shit. I'll eat it all up. I don't care.
God, you've been talking a lot about plates of shit today.
I know. It's shit on the mind.
You okay?
So meanwhile, the story in Tawori is breathtaking.
You missed one. We got one. Sorry. Tom Engstrom.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. Hi, Tylee. Hi, Evie. Mommy. Look, I'm on YouTube. I was wondering, do you have any predictions on what the raids and big antagonists will be in Midnight?
I mean, Kel'Thalas, and I think it is going to be the big Void expansion.
Yeah,
but I would be very surprised if we didn't have like sections which were set in each like elf hub and each elf city. So Suramar and whatever the night elf one is right now, and Kel'Thalas and any other I'm missing as well, because it's meant to be about the reunification of the elves that we know of. However, since we're having a big fight with the Shadow as well and the Void and the big Void invasion, I'm certain that Sylvanas will come back to defend Kel'Thalas.
Absolutely.
And will die defending Kel'Thalas, like she died defending Kel'Thalas against Arthas. But whereas that time it was like literally the cause of all her problems.
But Tally, they can't kill Sylvanas.
And becoming
She's
a baddie.
worth way too much money.
Yeah, totally. But like, now she dies on her own terms, actually saving a place, and it's her redemption sort of thing. It's like, it's too neat. It's too perfect and symmetrical not to happen. So there's that.
Fair.
But the other thing is, it would be the first real perfect time to bring in the Arathi Empire, you'd think, as helping us defend the Sunwell. Like this army of the light, this empire of the light, would have a very strong interest in taking part in the final battle against the Void, right?
Wouldn't they?
So I don't know if that'll be the first time we get introduced to them like en masse. As a proper thing, whether we'll go there to fetch them, and actually see the Arathi Empire there as well, or if they're actually saving that for something that happens after the World Soul Saga and later on. But I got a little suspicion the Arathi Empire will be a big thing in Midnight and that final battle.
I'm down. Sorry, so go back to Rico, which you started reading. So meanwhile, the story in Tawawi, that is what we're calling it, is breathtaking, and season 1 is near. Coming with a new raid. What are your expectations on Nerbo Palace in terms of its story, visuals, and difficulty? Did you test this at all? No.
I'm really, really interested to see how the raid ends. I'm hoping that the raid ends with a cinematic that gives you like a really cool, tantalizing reveal about what's coming next and sets out what's coming next and stuff like that. I've got a feeling that's not going to happen with this raid. I've got a feeling that the actual campaign story has got such a good like beginning, middle, and end and round off just with the campaign. I think I think they are actually just going to make the raid kind of separate in terms of story, and it's just this other thing we have to deal with. But it's not like, it's almost like not mainline story, you know. So I wouldn't expect the cinematic to like reveal an old god or be like, we're going here next or something.
Yeah, I think it might be something though, because story mode is coming in season 1 as well.
Good.
And that is,
point.
as far as I understand, only for the last boss.
That is a very good.
So
point.
it is for the non-raiders to get a bit of story, and it is coming.
Have you still got any shit left? Because I have to eat it. You're absolutely right. Yeah, no, you're totally right. Totally right. Oh, also, sorry. Also in Midnight, player housing in Kel'Thalas. 100%.
100%.
100%.
It's gotta be. Okay, we're gonna do the rest of these at a clip because we gotta wrap up soon. Christopher Moniz, thank you so much for the super chat. Unfortunately, I'll have to take the answer this offline, but would love to know, how impactful do you feel the return of Chris Metzen has been on what we're experiencing in the War Within? The story has gotten so good.
It's interesting because we know from Chris Metzen's own interview that War Within was like 10 months into development or something by the time he even walked in through the doors of Blizzard again, you know. So it was the zones were all conceptualized. I guess the main story, I'm sure that Xalatath was conceptualized as the baddie, and the main parts of that were in place. And so there's that thing of, I wonder, when he decided about the World Soul Saga, how much had to be changed, you know, so the World Soul Saga could be a thing as well. Like, did they just plop some World Soul Saga like kind of bits in there, like sprinkling it on like salt, or did they take some bits out and place it with other bits, or have they basically changed nothing? And you know, it was more the War Within which inspired him into the World Soul Saga. We know Midnight was already in production as well, so Kel'Thalas had already been decided as the setting and the main vibe of it. So this whole thing of like the void is happening under the ground and then they attack next expansion, that's not like the invention of the World Soul Saga. That's something that Chris Metzen has like molded into the World Soul Saga and being like, okay, this would make a, you know, let's add a third part to this sort of thing. The simple answer is I don't know, but I think one very obvious benefit is that it feels better, like him being here and him being so ambitious in the storytelling. Like the World Soul Saga makes War Within better, even if nothing is different about the War Within. Even if War Within is the exact same expansion that we'd have got without the World Soul Saga, the fact that the World Soul Saga exists makes War Within better and more exciting and more meaningful. And that in itself is a good thing. And that's the kind of impact he has. Like, he's just got this charisma, he's got like this ambition, and it's just, I think everyone is just happier with him there.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you've got to go, you go. I can answer the rest of it.
Yeah, let's do. I'll stick around for another one, but you may have to answer the rest of them because we got. I got to go soon, and we've got 8 super chats left. Amazing, awesome. Amazing turnout today, guys. Thank you. Erin Fondor Williamson, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Do you think Khadgar will come back with a new look, much like Illyria came back with her new look in his inevitable return? He's had the same look since Warlords of Draenor. Love you both, XOXO. Thank you.
What do you think of his wheelchair?
Oh, well, I think he's definitely going to be in a wheelchair. I think he's definitely going to be, you know, a bit indisposed. He definitely looks older. So here's the thing. He's not getting a full remake, redo, whatchamacallit, when you like go to the salon and get a whole, I've forgotten words already. But
he's not an ethereal, is he?
He's not getting a makeover. Exactly. Well, not yet. That comes later. So he's not getting a full makeover, but he does his age is showing on him. He's not getting like fuchsia nail polish like Illyria does. Please tell me you noticed that Illyria has nail polish on the fingers that she doesn't have ghost. Illyria has hot pink nail polish, and I was like, she's won me over. And I think he has to have the same look because, and you know, he's been up-resed since WoD. You know, he's got more like polygons in his face. Same look though. I think he's gonna keep the same look because he is like an old. Reliable for us, you know. He's like a marker of like our past and all the stuff we've gone through, and so he's going to be relatively unchanged until, of course, he assumes his like hot ethereal body, which
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Does Khadgar make it out of the World Soul Saga alive?
Oh my God. Yeah, he has to.
Yeah. Now he has to. It seemed a bit weird if he didn't.
Because
now.
he's going to. We can see that he can be transposed into like, magical energy.
Yeah.
We can see that can happen. But he is definitely sticking around, even if it's just in kind of particles of his being in the form of an ethereal.
He's going to need new staff. I think that'll be the legendary this expansion.
Ooh, yes,
putting the staff back together for Khadgar, and then him going, you know what, champion suits you better.
Yeah. Oh. On that note, I've got to go pick up the kids, but Tally's going to hold down the fort for us.
Yeah, I'll answer the questions.
Thank you, guys. Behave.
You're in my world now.
Please behave. Okay, thank you. Bye.
See you in a minute. Evitel, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! The real star of the show. All the views will drop now, and that's fine. I don't mind. Matthew Blackmer. Oh, did you write a message, Matthew? I didn't. I can't see it. Anyway, well, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Rico. No, there isn't one. No, you come here and show me.
I knew I should have shown you how to do it. He did a Oh, sorry, Matthew. We'll find it for next time. I saw it pop up and it's in there. Anyway, okay, bye.
Okay. Rico, also, I want to genuinely thank you for sharing your Korgran questline playthrough with us. It was touching and inspiring. I love the fact WoW is capable of letting us create memories like that. Oh yeah, that's the Alzheimer's questline that everyone is raving about in the side quests in Dornagol, and it's brilliant. It's really good. I did it live on stream yesterday, and I did not cry once during Shadowbringers, which upset a lot of people on my stream, but I did cry during that quest line. Couldn't help it. It's very, very cool. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for sharing it with me. Love you guys. Torek, when do you think we're going to see the first hints and teasers for 11.1? I personally need it to be this year. I need to know what 11.1 is before the end of this year. You know, I need a roadmap that comes out for 2025 in like November or December, and I need that to be the reveal of 11.1 if it doesn't come before. Simple as that. And that's going to be quite an early reveal because, you know, we've got 11.05, which is just the 20th anniversary stuff. And, you know, I think we'll be lucky if, I haven't worked it out like week-wise, but I think we'll be lucky if 11.17 is this year. I don't think it will be. So there's no reason to announce 11.1 in 2024, but I just feel like I need it. Am I alone in that? I just feel like I really need it to be announced. I feel like I need to know what it is before the end of this year for some reason, just for my own like brain, honestly. But yeah, the end of this year or New Year would be like the obvious time, I think. Magni shedding his stone and becoming a regular dwarf equals curse of flesh. Is that a hot take? Well, I mean, you know, he wasn't like becoming flesh so much as like reverting to flesh, right? So yeah, the dwarves are all fleshy in the first place because of the curse of flesh. But in Magni's case, in this specific instance where he becomes all fleshy, it's more a reversion than a change. Does that make sense? It's like Azeroth borrowed him for a little bit and like gave him this stone form to do the shit he needed to do, and then took that away again, and he's back to what he was. So yeah, just another reason for the Titans to hate us when they get here, though. It's like when the Titans get here, they're going to be like, wait, the aspects don't have Titan power anymore. Wait, all the Earthen hate us now and don't work for us anymore. Who did this? Oh, you fleshy motherfuckers. I should have known. I don't think the Titans are going to be very happy with us when they get back, honestly. Just even if we have just defended the world against the Shadow. I don't know. So yeah, thank you guys for the super chats. Oh no, wait, I missed a whole bunch of comments. I don't know why. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Evie scrolled down and I missed a whole bunch of comments. Sorry, I'm back. Here we go. I was WoW's dynamic duo. I'm sorry, there was only one of me here when I read that comment, but thank you, Michael Dubois. Am I doing something wrong? Every time I start an alt, I have to do the campaign over and over. That will happen unless you've completed the initial campaign on one character, I believe, or if you've got an 80. Maybe chat can help me out. It's either if you've got an 80 character already, or if you completed campaign. Maybe it's both. But yeah, that would be when you can skip the opening campaign bits in Dalaran. I also made that mistake of trying to start an alt straight away, and I was like, why do I have to do all of this stuff? But if you've got a level 80, I think, then it will give you the option to skip it then. Chat will be able to help me out once the delay is through. Cheers, folks. I love the podcast as always. August was such a curveball drop in Dragonflight. Was such a curveball drop in Dragonflight. If the War thing gets a similar surprise, what do you hope it may be? I mean, I would never rule out another class, honestly, or like another spec at this point. Another allied race. That wouldn't be such a curveball, though. I think we're all expecting that. There's been a lot of talk about the Rootlands being a new kind of extra bit of zone that might even unlock, this patch or something to do with the Haranir and Orwaina and stuff like that. But I guess the whole thing about surprises is, you don't know what they're going to be, right? My heart will always be hoping for a Tinker class that they just drop with all the goblin stuff. Shaman Tank would be a great one to chuck in there as well. Yeah. All of that stuff. But yeah, I don't think anyone expected augmentation until, bits and bobs started appearing in data mining in the build up to that patch and stuff like that. And, by the time it happened, it wasn't a huge, it was surprising, but it wasn't like a massive surprise to everyone. So I guess, we'll start to get a little bit, we'll maybe start to get some more hints of that coming up soon. But I'm excited. What I'm certain is that there will be some surprises, like in Dragonflight. My worry is that augmentation, I don't know. I'm not sure how much of a success they see it as. So maybe that's put them off big old surprises like that. So who knows? But yeah, I'm hoping, obviously, player housing. I've got the feeling they'll probably wait until Kel'Thalas for that now, because it seems so obvious. Because then, I mean, how amazing would that be, right? In Midnight, if Kel'Thalas, the big battle to defend Kel'Thalas and the Sunwell at the climax of that expansion, you're not just defending Kel'Thalas against the Void, you're defending your literal home because you've got player housing there now. It's so perfect, right? It's like, like, it would make you invested in that final battle so much more. It's like, you're not just defending the Sunwell, you're not just defending the elves, you're not just doing this because you're told to, you are literally defending your own home here, because this is the first place you've had any player housing. I think it would be awesome. I think it'd be cool. Are there lore implications of the archive this week? Thank you, Cornell Crits. What Cornell is referring to there is like a weekly that popped up this week where you had to like collect a whole bunch of Titan discs for Dagran and for Brinth, and they take you down into the archives and they whack the discs into the machine, and you get a little bit of a scene play out of some history, some exposition where it's the Watcher that used to watch over the Earth, and it's like, the Titans told me this themselves. The Titans were out looking for the prime world soul, and they sensed Azeroth, and they knew there was something special about Azeroth. So they came across the universe because they wanted to nurture this prime world soul into being like the bestest, most amazing Titan that there ever was. And when they got there, they found something, a huge power had at the center of Azeroth or something. And it's really interesting. It's really good. As a YouTuber, the footage is exquisite. Thank you very much for that, Blizz. I've seen a lot of people say that this proves that Azeroth is not a Titan. And that's not true. And you know me, man. I am like full on the boat of Azeroth is not a Titan. I've been shouting it from the rooftops for years at this point. My idea is that the world soul. My thinking is that the world souls, they're just world souls, and they can become like a Titan thing. Of course they can, but they could also become a Void thing. They could also become a a life cosmos thing, depending on who has the most influence on them in their like gestation period, right? They're not de facto titans, as we've been led to believe. I think that's what most people think now. So everyone's waiting for that one moment of like definitive proof where the game just comes out and says that. And a lot of people are treating this little scene that plays this week as being that proof. Now, for one, I think that proof has already happened. I think it's when the aspects went, this is not Titan magic. When they were empowered by Azeroth. I think that's like literally the proof you're looking for. But okay, you want it more explicit? This quest is not that, because this quest is... it will reveal a lot about Azeroth, I feel. I think it's going to be like kind of like the silver quests in Dragonflight, where it gets updated every now and then, and you get a little bit more explaining. The power that they're talking about is clearly the Black Empire when they get there. That's what's going to be revealed to be, right? But it is the first time I believe that we've ever heard the term Prime World Soul. Which remember that, because they'll be using that a lot, I think. So remember that one. And but it doesn't confirm that Azeroth is not a Titan. No, it doesn't, because they say they wanted to nurture this world soul into being the best Titan ever, or whatever it is. And people are like, so it's not a Titan already. And it's like, no, that's not what that sentence means. It's like, we want to nurture it into being the best Titan ever, because it's a Titan. Makes sense, right? If I say I want to make my son and nurture my son into being the best human being ever, that doesn't mean he's not a human being already, right? Likewise, if the Titans say they want to nurture this world soul into being the best Titan ever or whatever, it doesn't mean it's not already a Titan. So it's not proof. It doesn't like disprove the idea that Azeroth is not a Titan, which in my opinion backs it up, but it certainly doesn't prove once and for all that Azeroth isn't a Titan. It's just like it's worded very cleverly in a way that it can be interpreted many different ways. Blizzard kind of know what they're doing here, right? So it's super interesting. I can't wait to see that play out. I think it will get much more meaningful, that lore, as we go on. But the main thing to take away from it this week, I think, is the term Prime World Soul. I think that's a term that you are going to hear much, much more. And don't forget, obviously, this is a Titan Watcher telling us something that they were told by a Titan, okay? So this is the definition of being told from a Titan's point of view, okay? I'm not saying it's false or purposely deceptive, but it's definitely seen from the Titan's point of view. The visuals we see aren't documentary footage. They're recreations to help, visualize the story. So, there's always that to bear in mind as well. Turalyon and Alleria touch each other in that cinematic. Was it just an armor, or did they slowly overcome their light shadow conflict with love and acceptance? Rico, yeah, a good shout. They do in that little thing we were talking about earlier. To be honest, I think they've touched before anyway without there being a big problem. The thing I always joke about is the bit in 1,000 Years of War where they touch and there's like an explosion of light and void and they can't touch each other in that moment. But to be fair, at that moment, they had just been fighting a whole bunch of demons. Alleria had used the Void for the first time in a big, big way and just opened a portal that they just kind of all run through. It's fair to say that maybe the Void was just like particularly strong in her at that moment, and the light was particularly strong in Turalyon at that moment because he'd just been fighting some demons, and that's why there was that reaction. It doesn't seem to happen other times. So, yeah, it doesn't seem to be an issue. Really, it's just something I like to bring up as a little joke about discipline priests every now and then. Really. Torek, love you guys. Oh, and I read that one from Torek. Dark Dude, do you think Arathi elves felt the destruction of the Sunwell? And is it a coincidence that the final battle 15 years ago coincided with the Sunwell being supercharged with light energy? Hey, that is a very, very good shout. I haven't thought about it in terms of the Sunwell. It seems like it could be very, very likely indeed. Yeah, and ties into what I was saying about maybe the Arathi Empire coming to help us defend the Sunwell at the end of midnight. I think we will fail to defend the Sunwell, essentially. All will be lost, even with the Army of Light, right? And I think that'll be when the Titans arrive, and the Titans will fill the sky, and they will help us to defend the World Soul, defend the Sunwell, and defeat the Void forever and ever. And it'll be like, bye guys. And it's like, yeah, the Titans saved us. And then a Ridicron will crop up and be like, hey, remember me? Thanks for getting the Titans here like I wanted all along. Now it's time to kill them using like my plan that I've been developing for the last 2 years off screen. Thanks for forgetting about me. I'm just going to press my kill Titan button, and then all the Titans die. And then Sargeras is the last Titan. I don't know. Spitballing, I guess. But yeah, I think that's a good shout, honestly, Dark Dude. I hadn't thought about it before. And you could make the argument that they don't refer to themselves as elves, and they don't refer to themselves as human. They don't refer to themselves as half elves. They refer to themselves just as Arathi. So I'm not sure there is the kind of racial distinction. As far as the Arathi are concerned, it's like, we're just Arathi. Like, some of us have pointier ears than some of us, but, you know, we've all got kind of pointy ears, so it's much of a muchness. And I wonder if, like, the elfishness has been diluted enough in them that they didn't feel it. I'm certain we'll find out, right? 100%. Metzen said we witnessed the return of the Titans at Ulduar. Yeah, I know he said that, yeah. I think what I think. Anyway, guys, thank you for the super chats. That was really awesome to have. And thank you for being back with us in the return of the podcast. It's been fantastic to get back and to be talking about like all of this incredible expansion stuff. Season 1 next week. We'll see if everyone likes the raid, and if they hate it, then unlucky, terrible expansion. Put it in the bin, trash. It's the woke. I blame the woke. You can watch the VOD of this on our YouTube channel under our podcast playlist. We record this every Thursday, although we're thinking of maybe changing it to Tuesday again now that beta and stuff is largely over, and it just gives us a bit more time to do weekly reset stuff on the Thursdays. So keep an eye on our social media. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and on our YouTube community page as well. You can catch us live streaming on Twitch most days of the week these days, and obviously we have all our videos coming out on YouTube as well. You can also listen to this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform, if I remember to put it up, which this one I absolutely definitely will. So hopefully my dulcet tones, my demure tones, are in your ear holes right now. Thank you to everyone who joined us today for the live recording. Thank you to everyone who joined in the chat. There's some really interesting questions there, some really lovely input. Thanks to that guy's mum, and from me, Taliesin and Evitel. Until next time, cheerio.